Lin Yan did not doubt Hancock's words. After all, these words can be said to be reasonable and well-founded. In view of this, Lin Yan readily nodded and agreed. Ain on the other side saw this and immediately spoke. I'll follow you there. Lin Yan certainly has no objection to this. Just as he was about to nod and agree, Hancock suddenly coughed. It shouldn't be necessary, right? Upon hearing this, Ain's clear eyes narrowed instantly. Her intuition told her. What the hell is Hancock up to? Lin Yan didn't think so much, but he was also puzzled by Hancock's sudden statement. Any questions? Since we have to keep it secret, of course the fewer people there, the better. Besides, aren't you going to catch up with Brother Tiger this time? Let's leave the introduction of new companions to the next time. Can. Reasonable and convincing. Hearing Hancock's words, Lin Yan nodded with understanding, then turned to look at Ain. Now that the words have come to this point, Ain naturally has nothing to say, so he can only nod helplessly. Okay. Then I'll wait for you here. Okay, I'll be right back. Lin Yan smiled heartily and nodded to greet a few people. Then his body began to transform into elements and he quickly disappeared into the hall. The atmosphere suddenly became a little quiet. After Lin Yan left, Ain narrowed his eyes and looked at Hancock after a while. You deliberately found a reason to let Lin leave alone. You must have something to say to me, right? Ain is not stupid. Maybe it's because Hancock and I are both girls. Ain was able to detect Hancock's little thoughts better than Lin Yan. From the first time the two met, Ain knew that the Hancock in front of him had bad intentions. Now it seems that she is not planning to continue pretending but is preparing to have a showdown with herself. Ain secretly thought this, and that's exactly what happened. Hearing what Ain said, Hancock's pretty face sank slightly, and he stared at Ain in front of him for a long time before speaking softly. How much price do I have to pay to make you willing to leave Lin? Swish. Ain suddenly stood up and activated his fruit ability without hesitation. A silent and hostile look was her answer. What a sinful man. Although he had known that this would be the result, Hancock couldn't help but sigh quietly when he looked at Ain's hostile eyes at this moment. It's just a joke. I'm not low-key enough to do such a thing. After all, you and I are the same. Hancock rarely spoke to Ain with a sincere attitude. People who are familiar with her might be shocked when they see this scene. After all, everyone knows that the Empress of Nine Snakes Island is extremely arrogant, and she will never compromise. Ain did not respond to Hancock, but his face softened slightly and he put his swords back on his waist. Then what are your plans now? You can tell it from Hancock's eyes, right? She would not give up no matter what, and Lin Yan would not let the two of them fight over this matter. In view of this, Ain decided to have a good talk with Hancock. I want to be first. Then facing Ain's inquiry, Hancock said such a sentence in an extremely strong tone. The first one? I am the elder and you are the younger. Hearing this, a huge crossroads appeared on Ain's smooth forehead, and the look he looked at Hancock turned into a smiley face. Do you think I might say yes? Ain's eyes towards Hancock began to become extremely unfriendly. What you think is quite beautiful. Even if you want to compete with yourself, you will end up being the big one. Why don't you go to heaven? However, it seemed that he had known that Ain would have such a reaction. Hancock acted very calmly and glanced at Ain with a half smile. What are you looking at? Ain's expression became a little irritable. This is also a matter of course. After all, the biggest reason for her stress was that Hancock in front of her was known as the most beautiful woman in the world. Although he was quite reluctant to admit it, even from Ain's perspective, Hancock's beauty was extremely desirable. Otherwise, she wouldn't have deliberately used the power of the retrograde fruit before. In the final analysis, I just don't have confidence. Ain was not sure that he would be able to defeat Hancock if he really started to fight for it. Of course she didn't know that. Hancock thinks the same way. Otherwise, how could she, the always arrogant Empress of Nine Snakes Island, discuss things with Ain so nicely? If Hancock carries with him the innate nobility and ultimate beauty, then Ain's charm comes from her heroic appearance as a female swordsman and her calm and elegant personality. No one is sure of victory, so we could only sit down and talk. After all, they knew from the beginning that they could not leave Lin Yan. I can't give in just because of your words, can I? After a while, Ain calmed down slightly and then said helplessly. There seemed to be a hint of discussion in his tone. Hancock's eyes lit up. I can pay any price. Even if you want this Nine Snakes Island, I can make the decision to give it to you. Hancock said this without hesitation. For Hancock, nothing else is important compared to staying by Lin Yan's side. If necessary, she will not hesitate to give up her current status and power. Perhaps this kind of love can even be called blind. But that's exactly why. Only then can we move people's hearts. The so-called girl is such a creature. It is the most beautiful when you are working hard without caring about yourself. So Ain also fell silent. For some reason, she suddenly didn't dislike the Hancock in front of her so much. After pondering for a moment, Ain raised his head and looked at Hancock. I'm not interested in these things, nor do I need them, if you want to overpower me anyway. As he spoke, Ain's tone paused slightly. Then let's talk about strength. The girl's eyes became a little sharp. She is a very powerful fruit user. Even as a girl, she naturally possesses the pride unique to a strong person. In Ain's opinion, in the end, only fists can speak for such things. I'm okay. Hancock nodded without hesitation. He immediately showed a bright smile to Ain. Hancock also knows that this is the best result that can be obtained now. No matter how you say it, it is much better than just watching from the side and being cautious and not daring to move. Sure enough, it's easier this way, but we can't let Lin know. Let's fight in private. I'll prepare the place. You don't want to be thought of as an unreasonable woman by him, right? Ain nodded slightly. I see. At this point, the two of them have made an agreement. Since they know that they can never drive each other away, they can only rely on strength to overcome each other. There was a very similar fire in the eyes of the two girls. Anyway, no matter what, this gambling battle must be won. And then the time comes. Smelly sister, you're the one to take it. X2. Ain and Hancock looked at each other, with unyielding expressions in each other's eyes. And at the same time on the other side, Lin Yan also arrived above the island where Fisher Tiger was located. As Hancock said before, the sea area around here has been completely blocked, and many female warriors can be seen guarding here. Of course, their range of activities is limited to the vicinity of the beach. In other words, I'm afraid even these female warriors don't know what is hidden on the island they guard. Then the next step is to sneak in, right? Looking at the solemn-looking female warriors, Lin Yan smiled slightly. I don't know what kind of expression they will show after learning that this island, which is classified as a forbidden area by Hancock, is actually a group of key criminals of the world government. Lin Yan thought this in a rather wicked way. Then without any further delay, the figure flashed and turned into a bolt of lightning again, quietly flying towards the center of the island. The size of this island is quite large, and I'm afraid Hancock did it deliberately. The area naturally increases the fault tolerance space. Even if any female warrior disobeys orders and enters the island, Fisher Tiger and the fish people will have enough time to react and avoid. Thinking about all these, Lin Yan flashed in midair at an extremely fast speed while looking for noteworthy auras. But what he didn't know was, following his action, Fisher Tiger, who was sitting cross-legged in a cave at this moment, suddenly opened his eyes. The wind is turbulent. Tell the brothers to take everyone to the base to take shelter, and I will handle the rest. After frowning slightly for a while, Fisher Tiger suddenly shouted in a deep voice to the fish people who were still busy around him. Brother Tiger. The fish people were stunned for a moment when they heard this, and then their expressions changed as if they had realized something, and they began to execute the order without saying a word. Seeing this scene, Fisher Tiger nodded with satisfaction. More than 10 years have passed, and they have grown from the stupid young man who ran away from the Fishmen Island to adventure into a truly powerful pirate group. Of course, it is definitely not comparable to the power of the four emperors, but it still has a place in this sea. Very few people know that the last guardians of Nine Snake Island are fishmen like them. As a man, Fisher Tiger fulfilled his promise. As a powerful guardian force, it secretly protects this land and its own promises. Fisher Tiger himself is certainly no slouch. Just as Lin Yan originally expected, more than 10 years later, his strength is absolutely different from the original, and he has become a truly strong man. Perhaps the only thing that hasn't changed is his cheerful and sincere character. Brother Tiger, be careful. The Murlocs obviously knew Tiger's strength, and they didn't say any unnecessary nonsense. They just gave him a warning before leaving. Fisher Tiger waved his hand, signaling the fish people to leave quickly. He could already feel that the owner of that aura was getting closer and closer. The fish people quickly evacuated, but Fisher Tiger took the initiative to walk out of the cave, looking solemnly at Lin Yan, who had been suspended in midair for some time, looking at him with a half-smile. Captain of the 17th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates? After seeing Lin Yan's appearance clearly, Fisher Tiger's face could not help but darken. How could it be this monster? In recent times, Lin Yan has become famous in this sea. Those amazing achievements that sound like they are just making up stories all demonstrate Lin Yan's strength. Fisher Tiger's heart became solemn and he couldn't help but speak to Lin Yan. I wonder why you are here. Well. Hearing Fisher Tiger say this with a solemn expression, Lin Yan couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. No? Is there something wrong with this script? What about the touching reunion that was promised? After being stunned for a few seconds, Lin Yan responded with a slap on his head. Speaking of which, Fisher Tiger hasn't seen his true appearance yet. After all, due to the special status of his faceless appearance, he had always been masked and acted suspiciously more than 10 years ago. It's natural that Fisher Tiger couldn't recognize him. Hancock recognized himself because of the token. How is this done? Lin Yan couldn't help but rub his chin and think. You must know that because of the powerful effect of the formless appearance, even people who have been with you will have ambiguous memories of many things. So even showing off your own unique abilities is useless. And Fisher Tiger didn't have any tokens in his hand. Lin Yan was at a loss for what to do for a moment. However, Fisher Tiger was obviously impatient. If nothing happens, please leave. This is the private property of our sun pirates. Fisher Tiger looked at Lin Yan with some fear and said. No solution anymore. Let's have a fight first. Lin Yan gave up thinking. Of course, the reason is that it is easier to explain because they have played against each other first, but the more reason is that Lin Yan is a little curious about Fisher Tiger's current strength. It is also commonly known as the joy of seeing a hunter. According to Lin Yan's perception, Fisher Tiger's aura is now almost as good as that of the lower-ranked squad leader on the Moby Dick. Even though he is not as good as those real monsters, he is definitely a master. Sure enough, my original hunch was right. When Fisher Tiger died in the original plot, he had not had time to grow up. Thinking of this, Lin Yan couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly, and then without saying a word, he rushed towards Fisher Tiger. That's unreasonable. Fisher Tiger's expression changed when he saw this, and he immediately rushed forward with his fists prepared. Fishman Karate. This is a special skill unique to the fish people. Jinbei, who has now become a Shichibukai, knows this skill, but it is even more powerful in the hands of Fisher Tiger. Maybe this is the true power of Fishman Karate. Better. But it's not enough. Well done. Lin Yan laughed, without any intention of dodging, and punched Fisher Tiger with the same punch. The next moment, Fisher Tiger's expression changed. This is. The moment his fists clashed with Lin Yan's, Fisher Tiger's expression changed, and he pulled away without hesitation. Just now. Half of his body is numb now. Thunder? After quickly adjusting his posture, Fisher Tiger looked at Lin Yan with great fear and asked. Lin Yan smiled softly. Don't worry, it's just a small trick. If I really meant it, you would be a corpse now. Fisher Tiger was powerless to refute. Did he lose almost half of his body strength just by testing? What if we go all out? It's just like the rumors said, this is an incredible monster. The expression on Fisher Tiger's face looked a little confused. In addition to fear and solemnity, there is also a hint of unexplainable meaning. I don't know if it's an illusion. Why does he always feel like he has seen this ability before somewhere? But if I think about it carefully, I can't remember it at all. This is the power of formless appearance. Even those who experienced it like Fisher Tiger only felt a little familiar after seeing the abilities used by Lin Yan. Not to mention the 5 elders and those in world government. I am afraid that even if Lin Yan reappears in front of them with the holy grail of the netherworld, the 5 elders may not recognize him. When Lin Yan made a big fuss at Marie Joyce, the whole world still remembers absolutely no more than 2 hands. There is absolutely no one who can recognize Lin Yan through his abilities without revealing his identity. The power of the formless form can be seen in one Madara. Then try this again. Seeing the somewhat confused expression on Fisher Tiger's face, Lin Yan laughed, then picked up a big knife from the weapons rack not far away and slashed at Fisher Tiger. The infinite martial arts is activated. The swordsman, overcoming thorns and thorns, moves forward indomitably. An ordinary broadsword was forcibly used by Lin Yan to create a powerful momentum that could only be achieved by thousands of troops. Before the blade even reached, an astonishing aura and murderous intent rushed towards him. Even with Fisher Tiger's current strength, he was shocked. He quickly used armament hockey to resist with all his strength, and finally managed to resist. But it's not over yet. Lin Yan's moves changed, and at some point, he picked up a long stick with his toes, and swiped it at Fisher Tiger's furious eyes. The stick is as powerful as a dragon, sweeping across the world. Fisher Tiger was swept away without any resistance and rolled on the ground several times before barely recovering. Then Lin Yan's moves changed again. Every move, including swords, guns, sticks, and even boxing and whipping, was hard for Fisher Tiger to defend against. But Fisher Tiger also has a temper. Faced with Lin Yan's violent attack, he didn't say a word and relied on the strong physical fitness of Hockey and the Fishman to resist. Lin Yan's eyes couldn't help flashing with satisfaction. Even if he didn't use even 1/10 of his strength and was just playing with Fisher Tiger, but to this extent, Fisher Tiger's strength was fully capable of serving as naval headquarters. Vice Admiral position. It's pretty good to be able to train hard and grow to this point on your own. But Fisher Tiger became more and more confused as he fought. Do not know why. The more he fought with Lin Yan in front of him, the more familiar the feeling became in his heart with each move. But the strange thing is that even if he wanted to break his head, Fisher Tiger couldn't remember where he had seen this ability. At some point, feeling that he was almost done, Lin Yan finally stopped and showed a satisfied smile to Fisher Tiger. Yes, I have made good progress in these years. Seeing Lin Yan suddenly stop, Fisher Tiger couldn't help but frown. You know me? Lin Yan curled his lips speechlessly. In my heart, I couldn't help but sigh at the power of the formless appearance. To be honest, I could call it blatant. Can't you recognize this? Of course, Lin Yan would definitely not say it on the surface, but just cast a look of contempt at Fisher Tiger. Don't tell me that you can't even recognize your old friends after taking off your cloak. Speaking of which, I changed your sun logo after I reminded you. As he spoke, Lin Yan pointed at the sun logo on Fisher Tiger's chest. Brother Lin. Fisher Tiger was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then he suddenly responded with a slap on his head. Yes. Isn't this the ability that only Brother Lin has? Transform into thunder, and then have incredible fighting abilities that it is impossible for anyone to imitate. This guy is a monster in human skin. How come you forgot about it? For Fisher Tiger, if I had to use a metaphor, this feeling was equivalent to having the key in my hand but not being able to find it no matter how hard I looked for it. I had to be reminded to remember it. Of course he won't know that this is all the result of the formless appearance. Of course it doesn't matter. After confirming Lin Yan's identity, Fisher Tiger immediately showed a hearty smile on his face. Just like when the two separated more than 10 years ago. Seeing his smile, Lin Yan also laughed. I haven't seen you for more than 10 years. It seems like you are doing well? It's more than good. Now I can compete with you, Brother Lin. It seems that all these years of practice have been in vain. How many moves? I think you're thinking of eating shit. Lin Yan smiled softly, and then his aura suddenly exploded. Boom. For a moment, the sky and the earth changed color. Faced with this momentum, Fisher Tiger felt like a small boat in the sea, which would be destroyed at any time. The expression on his face froze for a moment. Fisher Tiger took a breath and waved his hands quickly. Ahem, cough, cough. I can't afford to offend you. It seems I'm too proud. But Brother Lin, when did you become the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates? The expression on Fisher Tiger's face looked a little confused. You know, that's the Whitebeard Pirates, one of the 4 emperors. The true emperor of the sea. A person that even Marine and the world government don't dare to mess with. Even for Fisher Tiger now, he is someone who needs to look up to. Of course, compared to 4 emperors Whitebeard, Lin Yan's true identity is what makes Fisher Tiger's head buzz. Although he often speculates that his brother Lin may have extraordinary origins. But now Fisher Tiger is still very confused. The reason is also very simple. Not an exaggeration. Lin Yan is a living miracle now. Single-handedly reversing the Summit War, saving the Whitebeard Pirates, and defeating Buster Call. If this is coupled with the incident that happened more than 10 years ago. Hiss. To be fair, are you really a human? What's that look in your eyes? I've agreed beforehand that I'm a genuine human being. After all, what you promised me more than 10 years ago should still count, right? Lin Yan looked at Fisher Tiger, who looked confused in a funny way. Then he suddenly asked in a serious tone, although he doesn't think Fisher Tiger will renege on his promise. But it still needs to be confirmed. Hearing this, Fisher Tiger also straightened his face. Of course. What I say always comes true. From today on, you are my captain. But. As he said that, Fisher Tiger's tone paused slightly. As a result, the expression on his face also became a little resentful. For a small pirate group like ours, is it really okay to join the Whitebeard Pirates? Speaking of which, among these brothers, I am the only one who is barely famous. As he said this, Fisher Tiger laughed sheepishly. No way. Although his strength has improved rapidly over the years and he is now considered a strong man, Fisher Tiger knows very well that there is no comparison between him and the Four Emperors group. The two are not on the same level at all. Thinking of this, Fisher Tiger scratched his head in embarrassment. Brother Lin, how about you think about it again? Fisher Tiger knows his own business. That's the Whitebeard pirates. And now there is still Lin Yan sitting in front of him, a powerful being who is about to dominate the sea. A few years ago, I heard that Whitebeard was in decline, and the entire Whitebeard pirates seem to be in decline and gradually dying out. But things are different now. There is the addition of a large number of monsters who appear out of nowhere led by Lin Yan, and there are recent rumors that Whitebeard has recovered. Now the Whitebeard pirates are firmly on the throne of the Sea Emperor. Even give it some time, it's not impossible to hit the top of the world. Honestly. Fisher Tiger is of course very willing to join the Whitebeard pirates. After all, he is the Emperor of the Sea. For many people, just being able to join is an honor. Even if it's just a guy serving tea and water on the Moby Dick. But joining like this made Fisher Tiger feel like he was taking advantage of Lin Yan. This can't happen. Fisher Tiger is such a person. He always shows his heart to the friends he recognizes, otherwise there wouldn't be so many Murlocs willing to follow him. In view of this, he asked Lin Yan to think about this again. However, Lin Yan just rolled his eyes angrily. Tiger, more than 10 years have passed. Why have you become such a jerk? And don't belittle yourself. With your current strength, you can almost become a captain on the Moby Dick. Lin Yan said very seriously. Being able to hold on under the hands of infinite martial arts as long as he exerts some strength. He also has the inherent powerful qualities of a fishman. In addition, I have practiced hard and continuously over the years. Lin Yan can guarantee that the current Fisher Tiger is definitely capable of competing with the captains. At the bottom of the ranking, it's not like those in the middle class can't compete. A strong man with such strength, even the Whitebeard pirates, who are now on a faint trend to reach the top, cannot refuse, right? Well, if I say this, it seems like I'm being pretentious. From today on, I'm also a member of the 17th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. I saw Lin Yan's serious expression. Fisher Tiger pondered for a moment, then nodded heavily. Then Lin Yan also laughed. It's good that you understand, but don't think that you are taking advantage of me. It's too late for me to be happy that you can join me. As he said that, he reached out and patted Fisher Tiger on the shoulder. Lin Yan has always admired the man in front of him. Not strength, but will and character. And now, he finally has Fisher Tiger under his control. Compared to things like strength, Lin Yan cares more about Fisher Tiger's sun-like personality. Haha. Let's just treat it like this. By the way, Brother Lin, when you came over, did you pay attention to clearing the money on the beach? Fisher Tiger laughed, and that was the end of the topic. To say it too clearly is not beautiful. But soon, Fisher Tiger's face turned serious and he asked Lin Yan. Beach. Lin Yan frowned slightly. What happened to the beach? It's actually nothing. Even Brother Lin, you know that with my identity, even if I hide here, it's impossible for me to be airtight. It's only once that Hancock helps to cover 9 Snake Island thing, but for some people, it's a different matter. As he said that, Fisher Tiger sighed softly. Lin Yan is not stupid either. I understood it as soon as I heard it. It seems that there are many shady guys on the beach. This is also a matter of course. Although Lin Yan has always looked down upon world government, who would really treat the people of world government as trash. Then Lin Yan can guarantee that he will die ugly. It can be said without exaggeration. This world is penetrated by world government like a sieve. As long as they want to, they can dig up almost anything and know all the secrets. Only Lin Yan, who traveled through time, made an exception. The foundation of world government is so strong that not even 4 emperors can compare with it. No need to think. The world government may have known about Fisher Tiger's presence for a long time, but everything was kept secretly and everything seemed calm on the surface. Many things in this world are like this. Secretly it's one thing. On the bright side, it's another matter. Just like Fisher Tiger now. The people on Kuja Island thought this was a forbidden area. The top brass and elite members of the world government knew everything, but Marine knew nothing. Those who understand pretend to be confused. Those who do not understand are really confused. In this way, the days can be maintained. But now Lin Yan appears. Just imagine. A monster that is now feared by the entire world government has found another dangerous person that the world government dare not test at will. Then there is the possibility of being involved in what happened in Marie Joy's more than 10 years ago. Predictably so. Some people can't sit still. If nothing else happens, a lot of information must have been continuously transmitted back to Marie Joy's at this moment. You must know that even if Snake Island is completely under Hancock's rule in name, it is impossible for everyone to truly be of the same mind. In a sense, this is human nature. Not to mention those outsiders who are very good at hiding. But Lin Yan was not afraid at all. After all, at that time more than 10 years ago, he was just helpless. Because he had to leave anyway, so in order to prevent some people from acting rashly, Lin Yan deliberately did those things in order to get a shock that would last for more than 10 years. But now he's back. So as a matter of fact, it doesn't matter whether there is deterrence or not. I am right here. More than 10 years ago, I could have told the world government to shut up and retract its claws. Is it impossible to do it in more than 10 years? In view of this, Lin Yan spoke without any nervousness. Okay, Tiger. You don't have to worry too much. I'm fairly familiar with those people in world government. After all, I've dealt with them a lot. There was a smile that seemed both mocking and contemptuous at the corner of Lin Yan's mouth. I'm here now. If they want to cause trouble, just come over. And don't forget, we are members of the Whitebeard Pirates, not to mention. As he spoke, Lin Yan's tone contained a hint of murderous intent, wild and arrogant. I am here now just to let those people die again. Do you think I can't do it? Hearing this, Fisher Tiger was silent for a moment, and then showed a helpless smile on his face. He is indeed the monster who dared to break into Marie Joy's alone. How reassuring. After hearing what you said, Brother Lin, I suddenly felt less nervous. Thinking about it, this day will always come anyway. Ever since we released the slaves more than 10 years ago, we have been fighting to the death. Hearing Fisher Tiger say these words, Lin Yan showed a noncommittal smile on his face. Will you fight to the death if you free the slaves? What about killing 10 celestial dragons? Lin Yan thought this in a rather wicked way. However, in order to avoid scaring Fisher Tiger, Lin Yan did not intend to say it out loud. And what Fisher Tiger said is true. Yeah. What's supposed to come will always come. Most of the time, the storm is just quietly brewing. But it never stopped. There is no shortage of heroes in this sea, and naturally there is no shortage of danger. Once given the opportunity, world government will never give up. Lin Yan has known this from the beginning. It's just that if he doesn't take action until he comes back, he will be courting death if he comes back again. Lin Yan has absolute confidence in this. Speaking of Tiger, what happened to Marie Joy's? Lin Yan smiled meaningfully, then turned to Fisher Tiger and asked. Not a word was mentioned, and Fisher Tiger's answer was straightforward. After you left, Brother Lin, the world government only announced my liberation of slaves. You didn't mention anything about Brother Lin. I became a hero without knowing it. Fisher Tiger laughed. As a witness to that incident, Fisher Tiger knew very well that without the presence of Lin Yan in front of him, he would never be a hero. It would be nice not to be tortured in Marie Joy's. Of course, Fisher Tiger would not know that even if Lin Yan had not existed, he would have boarded Marie Joy's to rescue the slaves a few years later. I also don't know about Lin Yan killing celestial dragons. Otherwise, how could Fisher Tiger be so calm? Lin Yan also has no intention of explaining. Anyway, the world government and himself have been fighting to death for a long time. It is useless to explain it too clearly now. Sooner or later these scum will all die. Anyway, let's gather everyone together first. If I'm not wrong, things will not be peaceful here in the next period of time. Lin Yan narrowed his eyes and said to Fisher Tiger. That's right. Hearing what Lin Yan said, Fisher Tiger's expression became solemn and he nodded without hesitation. Wait until the news of Lin Yan's arrival reaches back to the world government. No need to think. What comes next is sure to be a storm. Brother Lin, what are you going to do about your identity? Thinking about it, Fisher Tiger suddenly turned to Lin Yan and asked. You must know that when Lin Yan appeared back then, he always wore a mysterious black cloak, and now Lin Yan is the captain of the famous Whitebeard Pirates Division 17. The former is feared by the world government and has not completely dissipated even after more than 10 years. And the latter is now the top figure in this sea. As far as Fisher Tiger's own thoughts are concerned, he does not want Lin Yan's identity to be exposed. If that happens, Lin Yan will be regarded as the #1 enemy by the world government. So the meaning of Fisher Tiger's words is also obvious. He hoped that Lin Yan would hide it. However, Lin Yan just laughed contemptuously. Hide? Why hide it? Are those guys from world government also worthy of it? It's okay to hide your identity, but that's too embarrassing. I'm a certain person who won't change his name even if he doesn't change his surname. Come if you are not afraid of death. Thinking about it, Lin Yan reached out and patted Fisher Tiger on the shoulder and smiled. Tiger, that's what's bad about you. The so-called celestial dragons are just a bunch of scum. More than 10 years ago, I was able to make them never come back. More than 10 years later, I can certainly do the same. Seeing the confident and arrogant smile on Lin Yan's face, Fisher Tiger was silent for a moment, and in the end he could only smile bitterly. I can only say that brother Lin, you are still the same. Holy place, Marie Joy's. The same conference room in a secret location. At this moment, the 5 elders, who are the supreme rulers, are gathered here. Even in the holy land of Marie Joy's, this is an unusual situation. Generally speaking, when they gather together, it means something big is about to happen. Everyone, you should have read the information, right? 5 elders, who was on crutches, spoke with a gloomy expression. Of course, but I have a question. Logically speaking, the captain of the 17th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates should have no contact with that fishman. Why did he suddenly? But no matter what, it's a threat. That's why we need to discuss it. The 5 elders were talking a lot. According to the intelligence just sent by the agents, the captain of the 17th Division suddenly appeared in the forbidden area of Nine Snakes Island, and it can be said that everyone here knows very well who is hiding in that forbidden area. For the world government, it is also a forbidden area. Not because of a mere fishman. It's because of the shadow that has been hanging over their hearts all the time in the past 10 years. Even today, the 5 elders still have not found a way to effectively deal with him. In contrast, a mere fishman who is called a hero is nothing to mention. Everyone, we have to face up to a problem. The 5 elders, who had first-generation kitetsu hanging around their waists, spoke in a deep voice. If the captain of the 17th Division meets that person, if they share the same interests, it will be a huge threat to us. We probably don't want to see the Whitebeard Pirates and that person unite, right? Hearing this, the 5 elders fell silent for a while. After the Summit War and Whitebeard's recovery, the rise of the Whitebeard Pirates is inevitable, and even they cannot suppress it. Fortunately, Whitebeard has always been relatively calm. Even when it was at its peak, it never challenged the world government. Generally speaking, there is no conflict of interest between the world government and the Whitebeard Pirates. But if that person joins, that may not be the case. Whitebeard is by no means a sick cat. The captain of the 17th Division, Whitebeard at his peak, and that person, if these 3 people were to unite, they would be a huge problem for the world government. Think of this. There was already a strange movement on the faces of the 5 elders. My opinion is, nip the threat in the bud. One of the 5 elders spoke with a gloomy expression. Then what if that person appears again? He hasn't appeared for more than 10 years. There is no reason for him to suddenly pop up at this time. Even if it does, we can take precautions if we start to mobilize our troops now. Everyone, are you willing to give the initiative to others? There was silence in the conference room again, and after a while, an agreement was finally reached. Then order the Marine and CP departments to gather all the powerful people in this buster call. Seconded. Meanwhile on the other side. Calm Belt, 9 Snake Island. It's been a long time since I've breathed fresh air. Even I feel a little nostalgic. Fisher Tiger summoned the fish people. Like Lin Yan before, he was wearing a strange black cloak and was heading towards the palace on 9 Snake Island. Walking on the streets of 9 Snake Island, even Fisher Tiger couldn't help but sigh. Lin Yan smiled at him. When this time is over, you can live in this world without any worries. I hope so. Hearing this, Fisher Tiger nodded with some sigh, and then turned to look at Lin Yan, with a solemn expression on his face. But brother Lin, have you really decided? Once you draw the bow, there will be no turning back. Fisher Tiger looked at Lin Yan solemnly and asked. They had talked about it before. Lin Yan had no intention of hiding anything. His attitude toward celestial dragons and world government is even more complete contempt. As Lin Yan said, come if you are not afraid of death. This is Lin Yan's attitude. After all, although there is the blessing of the formless appearance, if you act unscrupulously, you will definitely be suspected. No ability is perfect. What's more, the formless appearance only blurs the memory, rather than erasing it. Even the previous Fisher Tiger was a little doubtful after he used the power of infinite martial arts. He always felt that he had seen it somewhere. Lin Yan is sure. Once I activate the Holy Grail of the Netherworld, the 5 elders will definitely have the same idea. Although it will only be doubtful, but for world government, a suspicion is enough. But what can they do? Tiger, you just like to worry. It's not a big deal. As long as enough people die, even those in the world government will turn into quails. With a mocking smile on his face, Lin Yan smiled at Fisher Tiger. More than 10 years ago, I killed 10 celestial dragons. The results of it? It's not like I don't even have one. They are just rats who bully the weak and fear the strong. Lin Yan has never taken these people seriously. In that case, let us stand with you this time. Fisher Tiger nodded slightly. Seeing that Lin Yan had made up his mind, he was not going to persuade him. There was only one thing to do next. Live and die together with the person in front of you. More than 10 years ago, I had received a great favor from Lin Yan, and now it was time to repay him. The worst result is death. Isn't it natural for crew members to follow their captain to the death? The expression on Fisher Tiger's face was determined. And this is the captain that he is willing to follow. But a hero who can bring miracles. Thinking about it, Fisher Tiger couldn't help but show a hearty smile on his face. After a period of time, the two of them didn't talk nonsense and led the hidden fish people towards the palace of Nine Snake Island. And at the same time on the other side, Ain and Hancock, who were completely unaware of this, were still staring at each other in the palace hall. No way. Even though I had talked about it before, I still found the most appropriate way to solve it. But it is obviously impossible for these two people to become friendly in an instant. It would be better to say that it is completely impossible. After all, this woman is here to poach him. After all, this woman succeeded before him. Whether Ain is dissatisfied with Hancock or Hancock is dissatisfied with Ain in various senses, it is strange to be able to get along well with them. We can only fight again. The two girls looked at each other unwillingly, with very similar flames flashing in their eyes. It's just that this situation is destined to not last long. Sister Hancock, the guard outside said that Master Lin Yan is back. Sandersonia pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing that the two of them were in the same situation, she shook her head helplessly, and then spoke. Ain and Hancock were silent for a moment. Ahem. What are you waiting for? Bring it in quickly. Hancock immediately sat upright and said with a gentle smile on his face, while glancing at Ain. The meaning is already obvious. If you fight in private, don't show it in front of Lin Yan. Ain naturally means the same thing. After all, now is not the time to settle accounts, and I can't be compared to Hancock here, so I just nodded to show that I understood. Seeing this scene, Sandersonia was hesitant to speak, but in the end she didn't say anything. She could only walk out with 1 step and 3 turns, planning to bring back Lin Yan, Fisher Tiger and others. So not long after, Lin Yan also walked in with Fisher Tiger and others. I'm back. Huh. Just as he was about to say hello, Lin Yan was suddenly stunned. I don't know if it's an illusion, but why do I always feel like there's something wrong with the atmosphere between Hancock and Ain? Lin Yan is not easy to say either. I just subconsciously thought, why do these two people look so much like the legendary Plastic Sisters? What happened while you were away? Lin Yan couldn't help but slowly typed a question mark, and then asked. What's wrong with you two? Nothing. X2. However, the responses were surprisingly unanimous. Having said this, Lin Yan could not ask any more questions. At the same moment, Fisher Tiger also took off his cloak and showed a hearty smile on his face. It must be a long time no see, right? Yeah. Long time no see. Looking at Fisher Tiger, Hancock had mixed feelings for a moment. Since Lin Yan left, Fisher Tiger has also helped him a lot. When he did not ascend to the throne of God, Fisher Tiger was always responsible for protecting him, and after he had enough strength to protect himself, the two did not see each other for a long time. Just like his promise, Fisher Tiger has been silently watching over the entire Nine Snake Island. And be prepared to give your life at any time. Spitting and nailing each other is also a man's romance. Hancock cast an apologetic look at Fisher Tiger. I'm sorry, this was not my intention. Brother Tiger, I didn't mean to put you on an isolated island. After watching Fisher Tiger ponder for a long time, Hancock apologized for the first time. If Lin Yan is the person who brings hope and admiration to herself, then there is Fisher Tiger in front of us. He is the most loyal guard of Nine Snake Island. He had to live in isolation just to hide his identity. Both emotionally and logically, Hancock felt that he owed him an apology. However, in response, Fisher Tiger just smiled and waved his hand. There is no need to say more about this. I also understand that I have to hide it. It is not your fault. Let's talk about the old things later. Compared with this, there are more important things to solve now. With that said, Fisher Tiger gave up his position. The two girls' eyes immediately focused on Lin Yan. There was a searching look in his eyes. Lin Yan didn't hesitate, and as soon as he opened his mouth, he said something that made the two girls' expressions change drastically. World government is coming. Hearing this, Hancock's delicate body trembled, and he almost fell off the chair without holding onto it. A trace of panic flashed across his face unconsciously. World government. Even though he had successfully escaped from that ghost place because of Lin Yan's help, Hancock still couldn't help but feel chills running down his spine when he recalled his experience in Marie Joy's. If I hadn't met Lin Yan at that time. Ain also subconsciously put his hand on the hilt of his sword. What happened? Well, it's just my personal bad luck. Lin Yan said this ambiguously, and then looked at Hancock with some concern. Don't be so nervous, I'm here now, and there are some things that I need your answer to, Hancock, okay? Can. Hearing Lin Yan's words, Hancock quickly calmed himself down and nodded seriously. Lin Yan smiled with satisfaction and then spoke softly. I want to know how long it will take for world government to mobilize all the elites to form Buster Call from now on. Buster Call. Hearing this, Hancock's expression was startled again. Immediately, he began to think seriously. He knew that Lin Yan could only ask himself this question, because now he was one of the Shichibukai, nominally subordinate to the world government. Therefore, among everyone present, when it comes to familiarity with world government, he is definitely the most suitable candidate. After a long while, Hancock cautiously gave a reply. To be honest, I'm not familiar with the Buster Call process, but according to my own estimation in the execution time of the last Buster Call, it will take about 1 to 2 weeks for Marine to dispatch, right? Hancock said with some uncertainty. But even if it is uncertain, it is much more reliable than everyone's random guessing. Lin Yan nodded. Then if we need to mobilize all the experts, not only Marine, but also the entire CP elite, how long will it take to gather these people together? Well. Hancock lowered his head again and pondered. I don't know about the CP department. It is the core of the entire world government. If we just talk about Marine, we want to organize such a force, from warship deployment to job handover. Saying that, Hancock slowly stretched out 3 fingers. About 3 months. If we are not lucky, we may only have more than 2 months to prepare. 3 months if you're lucky. 2 months out of luck. This is Hancock's answer. Then starting from now, it will be calculated as 2 months. Lin Yan nodded without hesitation and had 100% trust in Hancock in front of him. Seeing Lin Yan's attitude, a warmth flashed in Hancock's eyes. Just like it was more than 10 years ago. The man in front of him still chose to fight against the entire world government for himself. Thinking of this, Hancock's eyes were extremely gentle. What do you need me to do? Hancock asked Lin Yan seriously. Now she is no longer the little girl who had no power to protect herself. If she can help Lin Yan in front of her, Hancock will do it without hesitation. Even if it takes the entire 9 Snakes Island and himself, he won't hesitate. More than 10 years ago, this man risked everything to protect himself. So now, it's time for me to work hard without caring about myself. Lin Yan smiled at Hancock. Don't be so nervous. It's just a Buster Call. It's not like I haven't experienced it before. In the next 2 months, Hancock, I need you to do 2 things. As he spoke, Lin Yan's tone paused slightly. The first thing is to thoroughly investigate all the residents on 9 Snake Island and find as many world government spies as possible. It's time to turn against each other. I'll do it. Hancock nodded without hesitation. Of course she knew that there were spies who were bribed on 9 Snake Island. After all, money can make all the difference. This sentence is applicable everywhere. I didn't deal with it before, I just didn't want to provoke the world government. Now since you plan to fall out, it's no problem. What about the second one? I remember that there should be many ferocious beasts living on 9 Snakes Island, right? Hancock, just say that you are suddenly interested in these ferocious beasts recently, and collect as many of them as possible. I will use them in a month. Beast? Hearing this, Hancock frowned strangely. After all, there are so many strong people in this world. Those animals are said to be ferocious beasts, but they can only pose a threat to ordinary people, but any strong person can easily pick off a group of them. Hancock didn't know what Lin Yan wanted with these useless animals. But since it was Lin Yan, she naturally obeyed. I'll let my men do their best to collect them, but what's the use of them? You'll know when the time comes. Faced with this question, Lin Yan just smiled meaningfully and gave it up in a bit of bad humor. I see. Hancock immediately stopped asking. Just as Lin Yan has 100% trust in himself, Hancock also has unreserved trust in Lin Yan, as long as Lin Yan says it is useful. That must be useful. Hancock showed a perfect smile to Lin Yan. I understand. I will do these two things well. What about me? Seeing the two people chatting happily, Ain on the other side couldn't sit still. As soon as the topic was over, he jumped out and asked. If Ain. Well, come with me. Lin Yan touched his chin and looked at the eager Ain, then suddenly said with a smile. Ain was stunned when he heard this, and then the expression on his face instantly turned slightly red. What to do? Anyway, you will know if you come with me. You will be an indispensable fighting force on our side. Lin Yan smiled pointedly. It's good, are you coming? Come on, come on. Ain immediately nodded happily. She really didn't care if there were any benefits, but Lin Yan's current attitude clearly showed great trust in herself. The girl was very happy, and of course she agreed without hesitation. At the same time, the smile on her pretty face became brighter. Hancock on the other side saw this scene and smacked his lips in displeasure. But it was hard for her to say anything. Then everyone, we will leave for a while. Seeing Ain agreeing, Lin Yan smiled and said hello to everyone, and then left with Ain. Hancock was silent when he saw this scene and grasped the handle of the chair slightly harder. Fisher Tiger on the other side was scratching his head. What's going on? What's going on? Who is the female doll next to Lin Yan? Hancock, you're not up to par. Fisher Tiger's mind was now full of questions, and he even looked at Hancock with a strange look. He hesitated for a long time before speaking cautiously. Hancock, who is that girl doll? Why does she look so close to Brother Lin? Aren't you? Bang. However, as soon as Fisher Tiger finished speaking, Hancock scratched the armrest of his throne with a bang, and then showed an extremely happy smile to Fisher Tiger. Brother Tiger, what did you just say? I'm sorry I didn't hear it clearly. Fisher Tiger swallowed. For some reason, he suddenly felt an extremely dangerous aura from Hancock in front of him. After quickly considering his words, Fisher Tiger coughed dryly. It's nothing, I'm just a little weird. Hancock, haven't you always had a crush on Brother Lin? I was thinking about drinking the wedding wine of you two. What's going on now? Fisher Tai asked succinctly. Of course, Hancock also knew about the relationship between Fisher Tiger and Lin Yan. It was natural for him to ask this question, so he could only sigh quietly. It's nothing. She's Lin's girlfriend. Oh, she turned out to be my girlfriend. I was so shocked that I thought. What did you just say? Hearing what Hancock said, Fisher Tiger first breathed a sigh of relief. Then the whole person suddenly froze. What the hell? Is she Brother Lin's girlfriend? Is there such a thing? What are you doing? Can a duck that reaches your mouth fly away? Fisher Tiger looked at Hancock in front of him in shock. He knows the truth very well. Regarding the depth of Hancock's feelings for Lin Yan, Fisher Tiger feels that he still has a say. In the past 10 years, the person Hancock mentioned the most was Lin Yan, as if everything she did now existed for Lin Yan. And that's exactly what happened. Few people know that this Empress of Nine Snakes Island has been in love with her for more than 10 years, and her feelings are astonishingly deep. Hancock undoubtedly loves Lin Yan. Fisher Tiger is absolutely certain of this. Even when he is free, he often thinks that if Lin Yan comes back one day, it will be almost time for him to have a wedding ceremony. As for whether Hancock can succeed, there is one thing to say, and Fisher Tiger has never doubted it. Even if he is a fishman. But that's all Fisher Tiger could say about Hancock's beauty. One word, absolutely. How blind do you have to be to look down on Hancock? You have to be beautiful and beautiful, you have to be strong and capable, and you are deeply in love, so there is nothing to be picky about. The result is really. Thinking of this, Fisher Tiger looked at Hancock with a strange look in his eyes. You need to stand up. There is a saying that goes like this, the butt determines the head. As Hancock's half-guardian, Fisher Tiger naturally leaned toward Hancock. He pondered for a moment and then suddenly spoke. How are you going to poach someone? Hancock looked at Fisher Tiger with wide eyes. Do you think this is human language? Although I originally planned to do this. But girls still need face, Hancock coughed dryly. Ahem, Brother Tiger, what are you talking about? I have a good relationship with Sister Ain. How is it possible? Stop talking nonsense. However, Hancock was interrupted by Fisher Tiger expressionlessly just in the middle of his words. You call me sister and you say we have a good relationship. Be sincere. How are you going to use this hoe? I'm on your side, Hancock. Let me hear what you have to say first. Fisher Tiger said, crossing his arms. You have to stand up, don't you dare to say you love him? If you were a wall Kakuzu dare not dig, are you still the Hancock I know? As he said that, Fisher Tiger's tone paused slightly. Tell me. Are you going to use violence or be gentle? If it doesn't work, just tell me. I'll go have a drink with Brother Lin later. When I'm done, I'll pack him up and bring him to you. Even Hancock. Hearing this powerful speech, he was speechless for a moment, looking at Fisher Tiger in front of him with a cold sweat on his face. How come she never knew? Is Fisher Tiger such a tough guy? In the end, Hancock couldn't help but cough dryly. Ahem. Well, actually I have an agreement with Sister Ain. Whoever is stronger will be the main palace, so this. Is there such a thing? Fisher Tiger was stunned when he heard this, and then looked at Hancock with suspicion. You. Are you afraid that Brother Lin will hate you? That's absolutely not the case. Hancock immediately shouted with a stern look on his face, although he was just feeling guilty. Fisher Tiger understood immediately. I wanted to feel embarrassed about Hancock, but then I thought about it and realized that this was a good thing. After all, based on his understanding of Lin Yan, since Lin Yan admits it, he must be responsible to the end. He is not the kind of guy who likes the new and hates the old. Thinking of this, Fisher Tiger could somewhat understand Hancock. It's not easy for you either. Sighing at Hancock, Fisher Tiger spoke again. Okay. Then I'll ignore this matter for now. If you really can't figure it out later, just come and talk to me, and I'll go talk to Brother Lin. Speaking, Fisher Tiger clenched his fists. Speaking of which, he can be regarded as half Hancock's guardian. Even if he doesn't watch her grow up, he is almost there. If it really doesn't work, you can only use bigger tricks. Father-in-law's life discussion. Just asking you if you were afraid. I don't know if he thought of something interesting, but the expression on Fisher Tiger's face became a little funny. Seeing this, Hancock could only smile bitterly and nod. Meanwhile on the other side. Lin Yan suddenly sneezed for no reason and touched his nose angrily. What's wrong? Could it be that you have a cold? Ain asked with some concern. Do you think I'm someone who catches a cold? It must be someone from the world government talking about me, right? Lin Yan rolled his eyes angrily and said. With his level of strength, how could there be such a thing as a cold? It must be the 5 elders talking about him behind his back. All in all, remember this grudge first. That's right. Seeing Lin Yan's unhappy look, Ain smiled sarcastically, and then moved closer to Lin Yan. Then, what are the benefits you said you would give me? Ain looked at Lin Yan with a smile. As mentioned before, she actually didn't care much about the so-called benefits. Instead, she cared more about Lin Yan's attitude towards herself. Now that the two of them were alone in a room, Ain naturally thought a little wrong. Even so, his face couldn't help but turn slightly red. Well, this is it. However, Ain was destined to be disappointed. Lin Yan suddenly smiled, then took out the Holy Grail of the Netherworld and placed it in front of Ain. That's it. Seeing the Holy Grail of Netherworld, Ain curled his lips in disappointment. I thought what was going to happen, but this is what happened. But after all, Ain was also quickly attracted by the Holy Grail of the Netherworld. After all, the strange light emitted by the 3-piece Holy Grail is really eye-catching. It's a treasure at first glance, and that's exactly what happened. Thinking about it, Ain curiously picked up the Holy Grail and played with it, seemingly unable to put it down. Girls are not immune to shiny things, and Ain is obviously not immune to this. Lin Yan didn't mean to object, he just looked at Ain in front of him with a smile. After a while, Ain placed the Holy Grail on the table again. Isn't this a healing tool? Isn't it because I have some hidden injuries? As he said that, Ain's face became a little panicked. Lin Yan couldn't help but smile. Treatment tool? It can do much more than that. Facing Ain, who had a slightly panic expression on his pretty face, Lin Yan slowly showed a meaningful smile on his face. To the people of this world, the existence of the Holy Grail in the Netherworld is a miracle. If you only treat it as a healing tool, you are undoubtedly underestimating this top-notch holy relic. No, it's not a treatment tool. Then what happened before? Seeing the meaningful smile on Lin Yan's face, Ain stuck out his tongue in embarrassment, and then asked curiously. As a smart girl, Ain knew that Lin Yan had many secrets. But she never asks. At this moment, seeing that Lin Yan had his own thoughts, how could Ain not be curious? What's more, The three-piece Holy Grail is so dazzling that it looks like something extraordinary at first glance. At least Ain has never seen such a beautiful instrument before. Well, you'll know this soon. Seeing Ain's curious expression, Lin Yan slowly revealed a mysterious smile on his face, and then activated the power of the Holy Grail of the Netherworld, causing them to float in midair. Are you ready? I'm going to start. HMM. Facing the scene in front of him, Ain also became a little nervous. He couldn't help but swallowed his saliva, and then nodded heavily under Lin Yan's satisfied gaze. Even when faced with such a magical sight, Ain had no intention of dodge, which showed her trust in Lin Yan. It's the expression on the face that looks a little like death that makes people laugh. Don't be nervous, nothing will happen. Lin Yan looked at Ain and laughed a little dumbly. After smiling and comforting him, he started to activate the Holy Grail of the Netherworld. The miracle that subverts the order of life is once again unfolding. Of course, the price is countless treasures. Buzz. From the Holy Grail of the Netherworld, an extremely strange power began to slowly spread, and it spread to Ain in an instant. Ain's eyes widened instantly. This? The girl's face was full of surprise and shock. This is also a matter of course. As a strong man, Ain has good strength and is also a powerful fruit ability user. His understanding of himself can be said to be the beginning of entry. If a person wants to become truly strong, he must first have a sufficient understanding of his own limits. In other words, he knows very well how much iron he weighs. But what is going on now? Ain's eyes widened, feeling his own changes in surprise and fear. This was the first time since she started training in Kendo that she could clearly feel that she was becoming stronger, and was it too fast? Bone density, muscle mass, reflexes. Everything is undergoing tremendous changes. Ain clearly felt that she was being strengthened exponentially, and it happened extremely quickly. Soon, she could no longer feel where her limits were. Even if it is called a rebirth, it is not an exaggeration. Thinking of this, Ain couldn't help but look at Lin Yan with his beautiful eyes. As I said before, she is a smart girl. Naturally, we understand that miracles are not without price. Although she didn't know what Lin Yan had done, even she had only a partial understanding of the secret of the man in front of her. But Ain had rather simple ideas. The price you need to pay to achieve this level shouldn't be cheap, right? Silently feeling the changes in himself, Ain's eyes became gentle when he looked at Lin Yan. I'm very happy that you can do this to me. At this moment, Lin Yan is focusing all his attention on the Holy Grail that drives the Netherworld. Of course, Lin Yan can't be stingy with his lover. Investment at any cost. For Lin Yan, this is simply a trivial matter. The most important thing is to make Ain extremely powerful. Then there is a very simple question before us. What kind of creature is powerful enough? The Holy Grail of the Netherworld is a miracle that can subvert the order of life. So in theory, Lin Yan can change Ain's life level at will, making her completely out of the human category and turning into a creature that can only exist in fantasy. And Lin Yan's choice is at the top even in fantasy. Dragon. Of course, becoming a god like being like the Eastern Dragon is not enough with my current savings, but the Western Dragon can still be discussed. Incredibly strong body, top defense and attack capabilities, existence that relies on brute force to survive, this is the concept of dragon. This extremely powerful quality in itself, coupled with Ain's swordsmanship, has already reached the level of a swordsman. Tisk tisk. Lin Yan seemed to see a top powerhouse rising in front of him. And that's exactly what happened. As his physical fitness continues to increase explosively, even Ain himself will soon be unable to feel his limits. Lin Yan can already predict the reaction of those in the world government when Ain blocks him. I hope you will like it very much. As time goes by, the power of the Holy Grail of use is gradually weakening. The concept of dragon has also been completely given to Ain. Strong bones and muscles, almost bottomless physical strength. The defensive ability is top-notch, comparable to the legendary dragon scales. Incredibly powerful, a heart that continuously provides strength, freedom and the ability to control nature to a certain extent, and reaction capabilities that far exceed human limits. Of course, the most important thing is, you can transform. Don't ask, just ask. Transformation is a man's romance. It is no exaggeration to say that Ain is now a giant dragon that retains the appearance of a human being. And when needed, it can fully display the power and form of the mythical dragon. Lin. Seeing the light slowly dissipating from the Holy Grail of Netherworld, Ain quietly felt the newly acquired power, and then looked at Lin Yan in front of him softly. How could she not know how powerful she was now? There is no doubt that everything was brought about by the man in front of me. Ain doesn't know how much Lin Yan paid for this, but it must not be cheap. For a moment, Ain didn't know what to say. Lin Yan's willingness to have no reservations about herself certainly made Ain very happy, but... Okay, don't think so much. It's a good thing that you become stronger. Seeing through the complexity in Ain's eyes at a glance, Lin Yan waved his hand and said with a smile. Then he approached the girl with an interested expression. How do you feel? Are you able to use your new powers now? Do you feel any discomfort? Lin Yan asked with great interest. You know, this is a dragon. It can be said that it is a fantasy species that absolutely cannot exist in this world. Even 4 Emperors Kaido is just a Zaibe in Lin Yan's eyes, a somewhat rare ability user. How is it comparable to a real dragon? You have to know the real dragon, but even among fantasy species, it is an existence that stands at the top. No matter which world it is, it can be called a strong one. Well, this is it. Seeing that Lin Yan didn't care about the expenditure, but instead asked him questions with great interest, Ain couldn't help but feel a touch of emotion in his eyes. After thinking about it, Ain suddenly stretched out his hand and put it on the table. She doesn't care at all whether she is strong now. I just want to express my feelings to Lin Yan. Then if nothing else happens, an accident will happen. Ain just held the table with his hands and was about to approach Lin Yan, and then... Click. The table could not withstand the huge pressure and split into 2 parts in the middle. Lin Yan. Ain. The air suddenly became silent. Ain's expression was a little confused, and he stared blankly at the table that was split into 2 parts by his gentle support. Then he seemed to have thought of something, and then his pretty face turned dark. Lin Yan looked away as if it had nothing to do with him. Well, reasonable. After all, Ain looks like a human now, but is actually a giant dragon. So this weight, it's really hard to say. With a dark face, Ain looked at Lin Yan looking around, and the expression on his face suddenly became extremely complicated. What's going on? Ain looked at Lin Yan with a dark face and asked. I don't know. Lin Yan said that I didn't do it either. Seeing this, Ain suddenly had an extremely bad premonition and stood up with an obvious look of panic on his pretty face. Lin. Wait for me here. With that said, under Lin Yan's surprised gaze, Ain turned around and walked out of the room with a dark face. No need to think about it, just go find the scale. Seeing this scene, Lin Yan couldn't help but burst into laughter. After all, she is still a girl, and she still cares about her weight. That's what's so cute about her. Lin Yan said he was emotionally stable. So he sat there with leisurely time and waited, taking a look at how much treasure he had left. Tisk. It's as expected. After a while, Lin Yan couldn't help but smacked his lips. The remaining treasures originally stored in the Holy Grail of Netherworld have been reduced by half, which can be considered a foreseeable result. He is a dragon after all. It's natural that it's more expensive. Although it's good value for money, but it's still so heartbreaking. Lin Yan took a breath with some heartache, and then lay down on the disconnected table out of boredom, looking like a salty fish. You still have to make money. Ain's strength is almost equal to the Vice Admiral level, and the cost is already so high. If he uses the Holy Grail of the Netherworld on himself, Lin Yan can't even imagine the cost. This little treasure is definitely not enough. As mentioned before, the stronger you are, the more you consume. I don't know if the remaining treasures are enough for me to. Thinking about it, Lin Yan narrowed his eyes slightly and picked up the Holy Grail of Netherworld to communicate. Assuming that if you turn yourself into a dragon like Ain, can we discuss the remaining points? Then reality became cruel. Only enough to pay 1/10. Why the hell don't you die? Following the fluctuations coming back from the Holy Grail of the Netherworld, Lin Yan was stunned for a moment, and then couldn't help but curse. What about the robbery? Changing yourself is so much more expensive than changing Ain. What a profiteer. Is this reasonable? But having said that, there is nothing Lin Yan can do. It is his own problem that he cannot afford the price, which does not prevent the Holy Grail of Netherworld from being a treasure at all. And as we all know, you get what you pay for. With his own strength, if he wants to make a qualitative change again, it is not something that Ain can match. Reasonable. Thinking of this, Lin Yan could only slowly calm down his unhappy mood, thinking that he still had a system anyway, and there would be no chance of making money in the future, and then his mood stabilized. And at the same time on the other side, Ain had already run back to his room in a hurry. It's not true, it's not true. Muttering to himself, Ain moved quickly and took out the scale from under the table with a swipe, then took a deep breath and stood up tremblingly. Actually, think about it. Even if you become stronger, your weight won't change much, right? Maybe? It must have been an accident before. The quality of that table is so poor. Ain comforted himself in this way. Then soon, she felt the malice of the world. Click. The moment he stood up, the reading on the scale immediately exceeded the peak, and then with a click, his career ended. The expression on Ain's pretty face froze instantly. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I do not believe. There must be something wrong with the quality of this scale. Yes, that must be the case. Yelling in his heart such nonsense that he didn't even believe, Ain took a deep breath again, took out a new one with trembling hands, and stood up again. Click. Then the result is the same as before. The smile on Ain's face became a little broken, and he couldn't help but mutter to himself to defend himself. Ahem. How is it possible? It's impossible. If I were like this, I would collapse immediately if I stood on the ground, right? How could it be like this? Ain's tone suddenly paused. I didn't notice it before, but now I calm down and think about it. Why does there seem to be a strange wind around me all the time? It seems to be innate, wrapping around him gently. But Ain remembers that it was clearly not there before. Shouldn't it be? Ain suddenly had a bad feeling. Secretly swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Ain tried to relieve himself of this strange wind. And then the next moment, crack, click. As this strange wind disappeared, the originally neat floor beneath his feet suddenly began to crack in all directions, centered on where he stood. It was extremely fast and spread to the wall in a matter of seconds. Then the entire Snake Island palace began to hear the panicked voices of the guards. What's going on? Earthquake. Quick. Go and report to your majesty. Why did it suddenly? Suddenly, the entire palace was in turmoil. Ain's face showed a look of despair. Without saying a word, he silently placed the wind blessing on himself again, and the smile on his face began to collapse. Hee hee. This sudden commotion took nearly half an hour to slowly subside. Because the cause of the incident was not found. So in the end it was just treated as a minor earthquake. But no one knew that at this time. Ain walked back to Lin Yan's room with a dejected look. In a sense. As a girl, I am almost dead in society. Absolutely no one should know about this. Kill everyone who knows. After finally calming down, Ain stood in front of the door with a complicated expression, and finally took a deep breath and walked in. I'm back. What's the result? Seeing Ain walking in with a dejected look on his face, Lin Yan asked curiously. Everything is normal. Ain had a complicated look on his face, but he still waved his hand and smiled at Lin Yan. It's a lie at first glance, but it's not a big problem. Small scene, sit down. Lin Yan shrugged and did not intend to tease Ain at this time. After all, as we all know, girls are very concerned about their weight. It can be described as a minefield within a minefield. Lin Yan said that his emotional intelligence is normal. However, what happened in the next scene made Lin Yan a little dumbfounded. I saw Ain suddenly walking towards him. Just as Lin Yan looked at her strangely, Ain suddenly pounced on her without warning. The two men rolled into a ball on the floor. Burying her pretty face in Lin Yan's heart, Ain spoke in a somewhat depressed tone. How can I thank you? Ain is not an ungrateful person. Although her emotions were complicated in every sense of the word, she knew it. How powerful am I now? It's completely different from before. Just after a little testing in the room, all kinds of weird things happened. If anyone went to Ain's room to take a look now, they would probably be surprised. The walls and floors were covered in cracks. The solid metal that could never be twisted under normal circumstances was crumpled into a ball and thrown into the corner of the room. The faucet was twisted into a twist and looked like some strange piece of art. And all of this was just a casual move by Ain. Compared to this powerful force, it's just a side effect that makes people feel complicated, and it can be said that it is not worth mentioning. Ain has seen many beings who twisted their hearts for the sake of power. But he got all this easily. Everything is attributed to Lin Yan. Now Ain has no idea how he should thank Lin Yan, in every sense. Listening to Ain's voice, Lin Yan suddenly fell silent. Then he smiled and touched the girl's head. How can we be grateful for our relationship? If you insist on saying so, it's not impossible. As he spoke, Lin Yan paused slightly and lifted the girl's chin with a smile. Girl, how about you pledge yourself to me? This was the first time she was treated like this, and Ain's pretty face couldn't help but turn red, But soon, the expression on the girl's face softened, and she hugged Lin Yan and rubbed her for a few times. The pretty face is full of nostalgia. You still talk about this kind of thing? Haha, that's right. Lin Yan laughed. After all, the girl in front of him had already promised her body. Lin Yan stood up and picked up Ain. Speaking of which, has the ability been tested? Well, I'm just doing it, but I still need a more spacious place. I don't want to accidentally demolish this place. An excited expression appeared on Ain's face. It was the joy of gaining great power. At the same time, it is also the inherent fighting spirit of being a dragon. Then go and have a look. Seeing Ain's eagerness to try, Lin Yan smiled softly and without any explanation, pulled Ain out of the room. Not long after, the two came to a deserted open space. Let's start. Lin Yan narrowed his eyes and looked at Ain and said. Ain nodded seriously, then took a deep breath, raised his little foot and stepped hard on the ground. Boom. It was obviously just a very simple action, but the ground beneath her feet instantly collapsed like tofu dregs. Those who didn't know thought there was some big earthquake happening here. Lin Yan. Ain. Ain looked at the scene in front of him in confusion, as if he didn't believe that this natural disaster was caused by himself. To be honest, I just tried it casually. Lin Yan, on the other hand, looked at Ain in front of him in astonishment. Good guy. The effect of spending half of the treasure is quite good. Sheer brute force alone caused such a scene. No hockey, no swordsmanship, and no fruit abilities, just stamped his foot. Who can imagine it without seeing it with your own eyes? It is worthy of the wealth that it took the celestial dragons hundreds of years to accumulate. It is worth it. Suddenly, Lin Yan was even more looking forward to the holy grail of Netherworld in his hand. I don't know where the limit will be. Give me one too. Oh, I have no money. Understand. After the incident on Nine Snake Island is over, go out and think of a solution. Lin Yan asked Ain with some anticipation. Ain, do you have any other abilities? Well, it feels like it, right? Ain's pretty face was filled with a cheerful smile and he nodded heavily. Then the performance started in front of Lin Yan. Speaking of legendary dragons, apart from their incredible physical fitness, the most impressive thing is their ability to control various elements. And when Lin Yan used the holy grail of the Netherworld to change Ain, it can be said that he had no reservations. It was an investment regardless of the cost. So the next result is obvious. Wind, fire, thunder and lightning, the earth beneath your feet, the atmosphere around you. In front of Ain, who is at full strength, everything is under control. This is far beyond the scope of demon fruit power. If only the strong men of Logia could see this scene. Your mouth is watering now. In addition to not being able to elementalize, Ain can control almost everything he sees, which is equivalent to dozens of Logia's ability users gathered together. And elementalization. She honestly didn't need it. The reason is of course very simple. Roar. A dazzling light suddenly appeared on the girl's body, and then, with Lin Yan's surprised expression, she turned into a giant blue dragon. Then he came over very affectionately and rubbed Lin Yan's body a few times. Lin Yan was a little surprised and touched the head of Ain, who turned into a dragon. It doesn't feel like the ferocious Western dragon in my impression. Instead, it looks very elegant. Is this thing divided into men and women? Do you want to be so humane? I didn't expect you to turn into a dragon like this, Ain. Lin Yan looked at Ain in front of him with some curiosity and said. Apart from anything else, the appearance alone is quite satisfactory, not to mention the corresponding increase in strength. Looking at this posture, it should be no problem to compete with Admiral. Thinking of this, Lin Yan smiled at Ain. Would you like to give it a try? Overall, Lin Yan is quite satisfied with the current changes in Ain. Previously, Ain was just a fairly powerful fruit ability user, with weird abilities at best. It can be said to be average among the Whitebeard pirates. Although it is not possible to say that they can catch a large number of them, it can only be said that their strength is limited and they will definitely not be able to enter the ranks of the top experts. But now, Lin Yan suddenly looked forward to what Ain could achieve. Experiment. Ain was stunned when he heard this, and then he changed back to his human form very obediently, and blinked at Lin Yan curiously. How to experiment? It's very simple. Anyway, let's try brute force first. Lin Yan narrowed his eyes and smiled. He had to admit that he was a little bit offended by Ain. Of course, he had to regain his place at this time. Susano. With Lin Yan's soft drink, a huge skeleton rose from the ground. Lin Yan stood on top of Susano's head and showed a provocative smile to Ain. Do you dare to try it? Just what I wanted. Ain licked his lips, with an eager smile on his pretty face, and answered without hesitation. So the next second, Lin Yan took action. Lin Yan is also curious about where the current limit of Ain is. Be careful. With a chuckle, Susanoo suddenly raised the long knife in her hand and struck Ain in the head. Well done. Facing this astonishing slash, Ain's face also showed a smile full of fighting spirit. Then under Lin Yan's surprised gaze, he did not dodge and suddenly raised his hands to his head. Better than brute force, but it's what I'm best at. Ain shouted softly, and relying on his now extremely powerful reflexes and physical fitness, he suddenly reached out and clamped Susanoo's blade. Oh? It's interesting. This was originally something that would never be possible. However, Lin Yan felt a huge resistance on the blade. The big knife that could easily split the mountain was easily caught by Ain's hand. Extremely violent brute force, and very pure. Should I say that it really deserves to be the legendary dragon? How is it? Ain blinked somewhat proudly. However, Lin Yan just smiled slightly. To be honest, where is this? You can continue to say this again. Showing a hearty smile to Ain, Lin Yan finally started to attack with all his strength. He had never used his full strength against Ain before. But now, you can try it. Boom. A red light flashed in Susanoo's eyes, and along with it, a huge force of thunder was instantly wrapped around the blade. This situation is like a natural disaster. This power is completely different from before. Even Ain, who now has great power, could not help but tighten his expression when seeing this scene. Good guy. The more monster turns out to be here. Ain didn't have time to react. The blade was in front of him in an instant. The blade that had been followed very easily before was now like a mountain, weighing Ain out of breath. Not to mention the raging lightning. There was no resistance at all for long. Just a moment later, Ain was knocked into the soil without any resistance. He couldn't help opening his mouth and spitting out a pile of soil. Bah, bah, bah. There's no need to fight at all. Ain complained with some disappointment. However, Lin Yan gave her a gentle smile. Passed. Hee. Hearing Lin Yan's words, Ain immediately showed a pure smile on his face. Lin Yan looked at the girl with a bright smile despite being embarrassed. With your current combat prowess, you can probably rival the Marine Admiral. How are you? You don't feel any discomfort? Not at all, Ain replied with a chuckle on his face, and then the expression on his face suddenly turned a little helpless. No, there should still be some problem, right? Ain said helplessly, and then suddenly pulled out his two short swords from his waist. I see. Lin Yan nodded immediately and clearly. You must know that Ain was just a normal human before, so of course these two swords can be used together, but now. That's it. Ain nodded helplessly. I didn't think it was anything before, but now, these two swords mean nothing to me. With that said, Ain lightly threw the sword in his hand. It's so light, you can't feel the weight at all. Ain said this helplessly, and then under the gaze of Lin Yan with twitching eyelids, he suddenly reached out and broke the blade of the sword. The dagger suddenly let out a miserable cry. The originally tough sword suddenly bent to an extremely dangerous point, and it was about to be broken open by Ain with his bare hands. Fortunately, the quality was pretty good. When Ain relaxed his strength, the dagger returned to its original state. Well, that's it, I need a heavier sword, Ain said helplessly. You must know that the quality of Ain's two daggers is quite good. Although they are not famous swords, they are hard to find on the market. He was almost torn apart. I don't know if the swordsmith who forged this sword would go crazy when he saw this scene. Anyway, Lin Yan thinks he will go crazy. In short, let's make do with it for now. It won't be too late to change it when we find a suitable one. In desperation, Lin Yan could only say this. That's right. Ain nodded. Famous swords are not easy to collect. For most people, this matter can only be left to chance. Okay, now the experiment is over, let's go back. Seeing the pity on Ain's face, Lin Yan couldn't help but smile, and then said to Ain. That's true. With a pitiful smile on his pretty face, Ain glanced at the surroundings that had been destroyed by him to the point of being unsightly, and then raised his feet to follow Lin Yan's footsteps. Then the two of them were stopped just as they walked out of the open space. Lin. What on earth is going on? It turned out that Hancock and Fisher Tiger arrived in a hurry with the soldiers. No way. The two of them were resting in their respective rooms before. As a result, an earthquake suddenly occurred, and I heard soldiers reporting that there was a fighting here, so I rushed over anxiously. A group of people looked at Lin Yan and Ain in confusion. Lin Yan took a step back without hesitation and pointed at Ain. Don't look at me, it's her. Ain rolled his eyes at Lin Yan angrily. He was obviously very dissatisfied with his boyfriend's betrayal of his teammates. However, even so, Ain didn't mean to blame Lin Yan. At best, there is some minor dissatisfaction. Ain narrowed his eyes and gave Hancock a half-smiling expression. I was sparring with Lin just now. I didn't cause any trouble, right? Ain raised the corners of his lips and looked at Hancock. Now she is full of confidence. If it was against Hancock before, Ain was not very sure of victory. After all, Hancock was also the Empress of Nine Snake Island and one of the Shichibukai. Not a top expert, but powerful enough. But now. Hee. Ain gave Hancock a meaningful smile. You're going to lose, stinky sister. Then the pressure came to Hancock. The girl looked at the surrounding scene with a solemn face, which was completely in ruins. God knows what kind of sparring can lead to this. Even Hancock couldn't help but feel some pressure. The mood became a little complicated. But after all, she was worthy of being the Empress of Nine Snakes Island. She quickly calmed down and just glanced at Ain lightly. Anyway, let's go back first. I also want to explain to my subordinates what happened here. So naturally there was nothing to say after that. Seeing that Hancock was not accepting the challenge, Ain did not continue to provoke. Soon, everyone returned to the palace with Hancock and Fisher Tiger. It is worth mentioning that. Along the way, Fisher Tiger looked at Ain as if he were looking at a monster. It seemed that he couldn't figure out why this beautiful girl was so cruel. In this regard, the two of them had no intention of explaining. After returning to the palace on Nine Snake Island, Hancock sat back on the throne and immediately locked Lin Yan with a pair of wonderful eyes. I've told you to go ahead and do all the things you told me. What are we going to do next? Hancock asked Lin Yan. Among this group of people, Lin Yan was undoubtedly the backbone. Hearing Hancock ask this question, Fisher Tiger and Ain also moved their gazes over. Lin Yan rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. In short, I have to prepare for about a month for the time being. If Marine doesn't come, it will be fine. If our estimation is wrong, Ain, you can come to me. With that said, Lin Yan looked at Ain. I see. Ain nodded without hesitation and had no intention of asking too much. She also knew that Lin Yan had many secrets. Little did she know that when she was treating Whitebeard, Lin Yan disappeared for a year and found a solution after he came back. Ain, who has experienced it once, said he is emotionally stable. However, when Fisher Tiger and Hancock heard this, they couldn't help but have a trace of hesitation on their faces. After hesitating for a moment, Fisher Tiger couldn't help but speak. Well, Brother Lin, it's not that I can't trust you, but in this month, you can't prepare anything by yourself, right? Fisher Tiger said hesitantly. You must know that this time they are dealing with the world government, and Fisher Tiger looked at Lin Yan as if he did not intend to ask for help. Based on his understanding of Lin Yan obviously would not do such a thing. Lin Yan is already very powerful. The female doll he was carrying now was also so ferocious. Fisher Tiger really couldn't guess what Lin Yan was preparing. Don't worry, I have some special methods. However, Lin Yan just showed a mysterious smile on his face. There is a fishing system. If you get lucky, you can catch some heaven-defying abilities or top-notch items like the Holy Grail of the Netherworld. Can we just declare the death penalty for world government? Even if you draw nothing. That's not a bad thing, right? Besides, people's luck won't always be bad, right? No way, right? Lin Yan himself didn't care much. Anyway, with his current strength, it would be nothing even against the world government. Kill them all. But for now, Hancock's Nine Snakes Island still needs to be considered. As said before, Lin Yan is not a saint, but he will not ignore the things happening in front of him. I see. Well, then, I will help look after the Nine Snakes Island. Hearing what Lin Yan said, Fisher Tiger nodded, then patted his heart and promised. He didn't know what Lin Yan was going to do, but with an attitude of absolute trust. Lin Yan smiled and nodded. A month? Where are you going? After seeing the two of them finish speaking, Hancock immediately asked eagerly. But unlike Fisher Tiger's eyes full of trust, there was another inexplicable emotion in Hancock's eyes. That's reluctance. There is nothing we can do about this. She and Lin Yan had just reunited after more than 10 years apart, and their hearts had long been attached to Lin Yan. At this moment, she wanted to be together every day. When he heard that Lin Yan was going to disappear for a month, how could Hancock resist asking questions? I'm just going to get something that can protect Nine Snakes Island when I fight. After all, This is your territory, Hancock, and in my opinion, it's also a very beautiful island. Lin Yan replied with a chuckle. The Nine-Snake Island located in the Calm Belt is a very good place in Lin Yan's opinion. If such a beautiful island is destroyed by the world government scum, even Lin Yan would be quite upset. Hearing what Lin Yan said, Hancock's beautiful eyes flashed with emotion. But when she thought of Lin Yan leaving, Hancock felt a little reluctant, and it also reminded her unconsciously of the time more than 10 years ago. At that time, I could only wait like now. Can I tag along? Thinking about it, Hancock gritted his teeth and asked rather reluctantly. Well. Lin Yan scratched his head and was about to speak when Ain on the other side spoke. Isn't this okay? How can it hinder Lin from doing his business? Yes, well-founded and convincing. Hancock retreated. After that, things became very simple. After Hancock gave up the idea of going with him, Lin Yan said hello to everyone, and then left the hall under the leadership of the female warrior from Nine-Snake Island. Now that the real owners have left, Hancock simply stopped pretending. What did you mean just now? Hancock narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Ain. Don't think I can't hear it. You guys just don't want me to be with Lin Yan. You two have been alone for so long without even giving me a sip of soup. This woman is so unreasonable. Hancock looked at Ain with a bit of envy and jealousy. After all, he was alone with Lin Yan for so long and ended up sparring on a desert island. To be honest, Hancock was a little bit off guard. Of course we can't disturb our boyfriend when he's doing business. Is there anything wrong? However, Ain just looked at Hancock with a smile. Besides, don't you think that now is the best opportunity? There should be an explanation about what happened between the two of us, right? Hancock was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then the look in his eyes became a little dangerous. Now let's compare. I think so too, Ain nodded provocatively. Now that he has gained new power, it's time to teach the stinky little girl in front of him how to behave. Ain is full of confidence. Even if I can't get rid of you, it's still okay to let you be a small one. Okay. Let's go now. Hancock's violent temper could not withstand Ain's provocation. He stood up from the chair in a flash, his beautiful eyes full of anger. Fisher Tiger on the other side looked at this scene with a confused expression. Good guy. I'm a good guy. Not long after Brother Lin left, there was a fire in the backyard? Are all women today so scary? Then I leave? Thinking about it, Fisher Tiger quietly began to move back towards the door. After all, he didn't dare to wade into this muddy water. The two ends are not human. The two aunts in front of him were both the wives of his future captain. No matter who won or lost this time, Fisher Tiger said he did not dare to speak. Anyway, it's just that I didn't see anything. The calculations were ringing loudly. However, just when Fisher Tiger was about to run away, Hancock suddenly looked at Fisher Tiger, who was about to escape with a smile on his face. The smile on his face looked extremely sweet. Brother Tiger? Where are you going? I'm in a hurry, okay? Fisher Tiger's face turned red, but out of desperation comes wisdom. Seeing Hancock's smiling eyes, Fisher Tiger made a quick decision and put his face in his pocket, and said with a serious face. His intuition told him, if you don't quickly find a chance to escape at this time, something quite bad will definitely happen next. In every sense of the word. As we all know, as a normal carbon-based creature, it is understandable that I occasionally feel anxious, right? However, Hancock obviously wouldn't let him go so easily. I see. Let's go to the training ground first. Brother Tiger, you know where it is, right? Hancock looked at Fisher Tiger with a smile and said. I think Brother Tiger, you won't get lost, right? Maybe I'm worrying too much, right? Although she is smiling. But there was no smile in the slightly narrowed eyes. Do I have any grudge against you? Fisher Tiger was speechless, coughed dryly and waved his hand. I'm telling you, you two. Don't hold me back for this kind of thing, right? Otherwise, how can I explain to Brother Lin? Do you think Hancock is the younger one, or Ain the younger one? It would be weird if Brother Lin doesn't beat me to death. I know I can't escape. Fisher Tiger simply stopped pretending. No matter who wins, he is not trying to please both sides here. Just be your own people. Hearing what Fisher Tiger said, the two girls' faces turned red at the same time. Ain looked at Hancock angrily. Why did this guy say everything? Hancock didn't seem to expect that Fisher Tiger was so upright, and he coughed quickly. Just to be a witness, what if someone cheats on me? Who do you think is cheating? Ain immediately looked at Hancock with an annoyed look, and Hancock looked away with a guilty conscience. You two. Hey. Seeing the two girls not dealing with each other, Fisher Tiger also had a headache. After hesitating for a long time, he finally nodded helplessly. As promised in advance, I'm just taking a look to save you two from getting angry. I can't say anything about Brother Lin. Okay. X2. The two girls' answers seemed decisive. Helpless, Fisher Tiger could only follow the two aunts in front of him. Not long after, the three of them arrived at the martial arts arena on Nine Snake Island. Hancock and Ain narrowed their eyes and looked at each other, their eyes full of danger. At the same time, on the other side, Lin Yan had just followed the female warrior from Nine Snake Island to a secluded room. Sir, this is it. Your Majesty has already told us that no one will disturb us for the next month. The female warrior said respectfully. Lin Yan nodded and was about to walk in when he suddenly slapped his forehead. He had been thinking about fishing just now, but he forgot to explain it to Hancock. What Lin Yan wants to explain is quite simple. Now that Ain has turned into a dragon and has the ability to control the surrounding elements, Lin Yan wants to nip it in the bud and asks Ain to use his ability to seal off the sea area around Nine Snake Island. It can be regarded as physically blocking the world government's early actions. In addition, the collection of beasts mentioned before, there are a lot of sea kings in the Calm Belt, so you don't need to use them in vain. Thinking of this, Lin Yan turned to look at the female warrior. I suddenly remembered that there was something I didn't explain clearly just now. I already know the location. I'll go back and see Hancock first. Well, of course it depends on what you like. The female warrior was stunned for a moment, then nodded respectfully. Lin Yan didn't say much, nodded towards the female warrior, and disappeared in a flash. At the same time, on the other side, the main hall of the Nine Snake Island Palace. Sister Sonia. Who do you think will win in a fight between Sister Hancock and the guy named Ain? Marigold asked S and Sonia worriedly. To be honest, she wasn't worried at all before. You need to know who Hancock is. That was one of the majestic 7 warlords of the sea, and he was the strongest in the entire world. How could he lose to someone who had never heard of him? But after seeing the island that was previously destroyed by Ain, she was a little unsure. Sansonia apparently thought the same thing. I couldn't help but sigh. Who knows? Anyway, no matter what happens in the end, only that adult can solve it. We just have to do our own thing. Sandersonia said to her sister helplessly. If anything in this world is Hancock's nemesis, then there is no doubt that it is Lin Yan. Only he could suppress Hancock and make her change her mind. The rest of the time, my sister Hancock has always had her own way of doing things, going in one ear and out the other. The two sisters looked at each other. They all sighed helplessly. What are you two doing? Where are Hancock and Ain? Then just as the two sisters sighed, a suspicious voice suddenly came from outside the door. The two of them looked back quickly. Master Lin Yan, why are you back? Don't worry, I just suddenly thought of something and need to discuss it with Hancock and Ain. It's nothing serious. Lin Yan smiled and said to the two sisters. By the way, where are they now? Marigold and S and Sonia looked at each other and were speechless for a moment. After all, you can't tell Lin Yan that the two of them are going to have a duel, right? However, seeing this scene, Lin Yan got the wrong idea. You don't know either, so I'll go look for it. See you later. As he said that, before the two sisters could speak to stop him, the whole person suddenly disappeared from the spot. Sir. Not good. Go and notify Sister Hancock. Sandasonia's hand that wanted to stop hung in the air. Then his expression suddenly changed. Things are getting serious. If Lin Yan saw the two sisters fighting, Sandersonia didn't even dare to imagine that scene. Marigold on the other side was obviously a little panicked, and rushed out without saying a word, with S and Sonia naturally following closely behind. However, Lin Yan's speed was beyond what the two of them could catch up with. Just by squinting his eyes, Lin Yan easily found Hancock's location. He chuckled, picked up Kamui and disappeared again. I have to say that traveling with Kamui is easy. Within a few seconds, with a flurry of space, Lin Yan appeared above the Nine Snake Island martial arts field without warning. Then, there's no after that. Boom. Lin Yan had just emerged from the space when a pillar of fire soared into the sky and came towards him. Fortunately, Lin Yan reacted quickly and just dodged away. What are you doing, good guy? Seeing the pillar of fire flying past him, Lin Yan narrowed his eyes slightly and looked down. Is this a fight? Lin Yan looked at the scene in front of him dumbfounded. Ain was holding two swords, and her whole body was wrapped with various elemental lights. It was obvious that the previous pillar of fire was her masterpiece. At this time, it was like a heavily armored tank running rampant in the martial arts field. It can be said that the brute force of the dragon is brought to the extreme. Hancock on the other side is obviously not a vegetarian. If Ain's current performance is violent, then Hancock is dexterous. While dodging Ain's attacks, he also fought back. For a while, the fight was in full swing. Fisher Tiger looked on with a confused expression. His face was full of doubts about life. Lin Yan couldn't help but frown. What the hell? What's going on? I just walked with my front foot. Why did my back foot start kicking? Lin Yan frowned slightly as he watched the confrontation between the spirit girls gradually become more violent. He was about to go down and stop her, but then suddenly stopped in the next second. That's all you have, Hancock. I'm sure you will be the one today. It's not over yet. I will never give up my position in the main palace to you. Then come again. Come here. Who is afraid of whom? Lin Yan immediately understood what was going on and couldn't help but cover his forehead with his hands. It is said that women are all born actors, and it turns out that the ancients did not deceive me. The two girls who originally seemed to be getting along harmoniously in front of him did not expect to be like this in private. This makes no sense. And if you go out now, although it will definitely make them stop, the problem probably won't be solved. Thinking of this, Lin Yan had no intention of stopping it. Looking at Fisher Tiger, who was looking at him with a confused expression, Lin Yan rolled his eyes and sneaked in quietly. Fisher Tiger was in a state of confusion when he suddenly heard a slight sound coming from his ear. What's the situation now? Fisher Tiger immediately showed a wary expression. Lin Yan's somewhat funny voice immediately sounded. Don't be nervous, it's me. Brother Lin. Why are you back suddenly? Only then did Fisher Tiger react and smiled sheepishly. Lin Yan couldn't help but rolled his eyes. I also want to ask you. Why did it become like this just after I left? The two of them don't usually seem so incompatible, right? Fisher Tiger said nothing. He just looked at Lin Yan with a strange look. After a while, he suddenly reached out and patted Lin Yan on the shoulder. How should I put it? After all, there is only one position for the captain's wife. I can understand it, but Brother Lin. Forget it, you should just figure it out yourself. With that said, Fisher Tiger walked away without hesitation. Why don't you leave and stay for dinner later? I think it's a banquet. To be honest, he was originally pushed to the top, but now that Lin Yan, the real owner, is here, Fisher Tiger of course immediately rubbed his feet. Lin Yan. Seeing Fisher Tiger looking like he was fleeing for safety, Lin Yan blinked in confusion, and then sighed softly and continued to stand where he was. Soon, the two girls discovered Lin Yan's existence. Lin, aren't you going to do something? With a blush on his face, Ain hid his swords behind his back and giggled at Lin Yan. Lin Yan rolled his eyes. Stop hiding. You were the most violent when you were killing people just now. You won't be able to even swing your sword when you see me, right? Well. Ain retreated. It's not what you think, we are just, competing. That's right, we are competing. Hancock tried to fight for his life. Lin Yan just glared at her angrily. I believe you, you should first loosen the armament hockey in your hands before you speak. Woo. Hancock also retreated. The two girls retracted their weapons in a tacit understanding, and then stood in front of Lin Yan like children who had done something wrong. Don't dare to move, don't dare to move. Seeing this, Lin Yan sighed helplessly. Go on, don't you two want to decide the winner? Cough, cough, cough. It can't be done. After hearing this, Ain quickly coughed. No fight, no fight. Hancock also shook his head like a rattle. A female swordsman, the Empress of Nine Snakes Island, was as obedient as a rabbit. But here's the surprise. After hearing this, Lin Yan just looked at the two of them with a half smile. It's such a pity not to continue. The winner hasn't been decided yet. I love watching women fight the most. The two of them were stunned at the same time. After a while, Ain pointed at himself with some uncertainty. Well, aren't you lying? No. Lin Yan replied without hesitation. Seeing this, even Hancock couldn't help but frown slightly. Are you really not angry? As I said, I'm not angry. I just feel that a lot of things won't be clear if you two don't fight. Lin Yan rolled his eyes helplessly. Even if I ask you two to stop now, you two will still find a chance to decide the outcome, right? So it's better to solve it here. It's safer with me here. Lin Yan said this angrily. After all, you can tell just by looking at it, right? Hancock and Ain will definitely have to decide the winner, or in other words, they have to come up with a solution. Even if you intervene forcefully here, it's just treating the symptoms rather than the root cause. Instead of doing this, it would be better to let them have a good fight, and things will be much easier to handle after that. The two girls looked away guiltily at the same time. As Lin Yan said, even if they stop here, they will still fight when Lin Yan is gone. After all, there is only one position in that position, and neither of them will give up. That being the case, then fight again. Ain nodded very strongly and looked at Hancock with eyes full of fighting intent again. I have no problem, we have to decide the winner here today. Hancock also had this intention. The two of them looked at Lin Yan apologetically at the same time, and immediately rushed to the court to fight again. Looking at this scene, Lin Yan could only sigh helplessly. Woman. But having said that, seeing the two women fighting together again, Lin Yan's eyes soon became a little funny. It was probably because he was really angry. Ain and Hancock were merciless in their actions. Giving full play to the spirit of immune to death, Ain is now a dragon, and Hancock has been blessed by the holy grail of the netherworld for a long time, so naturally he is not comparable to ordinary humans. So it's reasonable to scratch it a little bit, right? Lin Yan silently gave a thumbs up. Gentlemen, I love watching women fight the most. The battle between the two women continues, but for some reason, from a certain moment, the situation became a little weird. Wow. How dare you rip my skirt off? This is my favorite one. Hancock quickly backed away and looked at Ain with eyes full of annoyance. Ain also looked angry. Don't tell me, you seem to be very polite. Didn't you tear off my sleeves too? How could I? It's not intentional. You mean I did it on purpose? Who knows? There's no reason to talk to a woman with no reputation like you. Then fight again. Come on. Let's hurt each other. This is really terrible. And has the style of painting become a bit off? Lin Yan, who was watching the battle on the sidelines, couldn't help but rub his chin in thought. I don't know if it's intentional or not. Why do you always feel like you are deliberately showing off to yourself? In this regard, Lin Yan said very straightforwardly. If you know how to fight, use more, and silently gave a thumbs up in his heart. Of course, even if he was beaten to death, he would not say this directly. Lin Yan said that he was not dissatisfied with his long life. It wasn't until an hour later that the two girls stopped. And speaking of their current image, well, I can only say that they are all good girls who are diligent and thrifty. It's really, really difficult to deal with. Hancock lay weakly on the ground and cast an indignant look at Ain, who was still alive and kicking. What kind of monster is this woman? Don't you think your physical strength will be reduced? To be honest, Hancock really tried his best, but due to Ain's bottomless physical strength, he was defeated in the end. This is also a matter of course. As a dragon at this moment, Ain's endurance is definitely not comparable to that of ordinary humans. Even Hancock is the same, but it is still more than one order of magnitude behind Ain. So even though I really don't want to admit it, but Hancock still knew he had lost. Thinking of this, the expression on Chao's face darkened a little. You win. With reluctance, Hancock sighed softly. She is not a sore loser. However, what is somewhat surprising is that, as the winner, Ain did not look triumphant at all at this time. Instead, after hearing what Hancock said, he looked away with a guilty conscience. Ain is a member of his own family who knows his own affairs. In this competition, she cheated. Without the power that Lin Yan had given him with the Holy Grail, Ain knew very well that he was no match for Hancock. And looking at Hancock's disappointed look, Ain also couldn't bear it. After all, she is also a girl. If she were not in her current position, she would still like Hancock very much. Tie. So after hesitating for a long while, Ain suddenly said something like this. If Lin hadn't helped me before, I wouldn't be your opponent, so let's just call it a draw this time. Ain said this very frankly. You? Hancock looked at Ain in surprise. Ain, on the other hand, smiled bitterly. I don't want Lin to be annoying either. You feel the same way, right? Let's do it like this, how about we share equally? Ain looked at Hancock sincerely. She didn't want to be the bad guy. Hancock's feelings for Lin Yan started more than 10 years ago. If you really want to calculate it, she was the latecomer, but she was just a step early. She also knew how unwilling Hancock was. It was the same with himself before, but after the fight, Ain suddenly felt that some things were not that important. Hancock looked at Ain blankly. Even she didn't expect that it would be such a result in the end. Of course she was very unwilling. I have been in unrequited love for more than 10 years, and only after finally reuniting did I find out that my crush already has a lover. To be reasonable and not go crazy on the spot, it is Hancock's good self-cultivation. But on the other hand, isn't it the same for Ain? After finally establishing a relationship with the person of my dreams, suddenly a person who had known Lin Yan more than 10 years ago appeared out of nowhere and wanted to poach him. It's amazing that Ain didn't go crazy. Thinking about it this way, Hancock's eyes when he looked at Ain softened a lot, and he looked away slightly awkwardly. Then let's do this. Both of them probably knew it from the beginning. This is simply a confusing account. No one can ever give up. Otherwise, given the personalities of Ain and Hancock, they would not have engaged in the kind of gambling fight they had before. Lin Yan did nothing wrong. His attitude has always been honest and he has not deliberately concealed anything. If I have to say it, it's just that I didn't realize Hancock's feelings at the first time. After all, for Lin Yan, for a long time, the impression of Hancock was still about more than 10 years ago. As mentioned before, it is normal to be unable to turn around for a while. The two girls were equally right. For Hancock, he was his savior, the last ray of light in his life. As for Ain, he has always been the object of admiration, and naturally it is impossible to leave. Since you can't leave, then let's take a step back. Seemingly thinking of the same thing, the two girls couldn't help but smile at each other. The previous resentment and prejudice miraculously disappeared. The most important thing is that they are the same person. As long as this premise exists, there is no possibility of the two girls becoming enemies from the beginning. None of them want to be bad people. I don't want to hate someone, I just want to be by his side. Lin Yan looked at the scene in front of him with a smile. Being friendly is the best. He was still thinking about how to deal with it if he became more and more irritable in the end, but now it is a good thing. Speaking of which, you were quite lucky. Thinking of this, Lin Yan couldn't help but smile. Then he looked at the two girls in front of him, and the smile on his face became a little weird. Ahem. Lin Yan suddenly coughed dryly. What about that? Although I see that you two are very close to each other, I'm not too embarrassed to disturb you. And I feel very welcome. As he spoke, Lin Yan's tone paused slightly. But you two, are you sure you don't want to change your clothes? Hearing this, the two girls were stunned at the same time. You look at me and I look at you. For a moment, they were speechless. The air became quiet, like the calm before the storm. For a moment, two deafening screams resounded throughout the martial arts arena. Ah 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 ah. The two girls fled in a hurry. This is also a matter of course. After all, the scene before was so explosive that he couldn't see anyone for a while. Lin Yan said it was understandable. Small question, sit down. Is this a lose-lose situation? Seeing the two girls escaping in embarrassment, Lin Yan couldn't help but smile, and then narrowed his eyes to look at the messy martial arts field in front of him. It's not just Ain, it seems. Even Hancock is much more powerful than he was at the same time in the original work. He didn't intend to go find the two girls immediately. After Lin Yan stayed there for a while, he walked leisurely towards the palace of Nine Snakes Island. Not long after, they arrived at the main hall of the palace. Then, as expected, Hancock and Ain had already sorted themselves out and were waiting for him here. The expression on her pretty face is very calm. Only if you look carefully, it is indeed not difficult to see the slight blush on the girls' faces. As we all know, girls are more or less concerned with saving face. Lin Yan did not mean to make fun of the two of them, but looked directly at the two of them. I suddenly thought of something before, and I plan to discuss it with you. With that said, Lin Yan began to explain to the two girls how to defend Nine Snake Island during his absence. But having said that, there are really only two things. Let Ain use his new abilities to seal off the nearby sea area. And when collecting beasts, take the Sea Kings with you. Of course, the two girls had no objections to this. Seeing the two men nodding without hesitation, Lin Yan also smiled, and after a brief greeting, he said goodbye and returned to the room prepared by Hancock. He will be fishing here in the next month. Lin Yan couldn't help but rub his hands. I don't know what kind of surprise the system will bring to me this time. System, start fishing. At the same time, the palace hall of Nine Snake Island. After Lin Yan left, Hancock and Ain looked at each other. The eyes of both people were full of complicated expressions. This is also a matter of course. You know, not long ago, they were still at odds with each other. As a result, it has become this kind of relationship now. And when I was in the martial arts field before, Just thinking of Lin Yan's teasing expression at that time, the two girls felt their pretty faces turn red. Of course, they couldn't calm down so quickly. Well. How about we get along well with each other from now on? After staring at each other with big eyes and small eyes for a long time, Ain finally couldn't help but speak first. I have no opinion. Hancock immediately nodded slightly. After all, Hancock was only superficially arrogant. During Lin Yan's absence, in order to maintain her majesty as the Empress of Nine Snakes Island, she disguised herself as a hedgehog. In fact, she is not a difficult girl at heart. And without the tragic experience in the original work, Hancock is much easier to get along with now. As said before, anyone who knows her probably knows that what Hancock says and what she does are usually two different things. Before, it was just because of unwillingness. Now that he has decided to share, Hancock's attitude has naturally softened. Seeing this, Ain's expression softened a lot. There is no tit for tat like before. Suddenly, the atmosphere became friendly. It didn't take long for the two to start chatting privately for the first time since they met. Of course, the content is all about Lin Yan. Fisher Tiger leaned behind an inconspicuous pillar and looked at the friendly appearance of the two girls. He couldn't help but nodded with relief. This is the best result. Fisher Tiger couldn't help but sigh. To be honest, he was still having a headache as to what he should do about this matter. Sure enough, Brother Lin has a solution. As a crew member, he is naturally loyal to his captain. There is no doubt that Hancock will also board Lin Yan's ship in the future. Fisher Tiger does not want to see anything unfriendly happen and create a gap between the partners. But now it seems that there is no need to worry. That being the case, there is only one thing I have to do. Just like the previous 10 years, during Lin Yan's absence, we will do our best to protect everything here. Thinking about it, Fisher Tiger's eyes showed firmness. Stop looking at Iron and Hancock and stroll out of the hall. A group of fishmen were already waiting outside. Fisher Tiger waved his hand. Everyone, now is the time for us to repay our gratitude to Brother Lin. Follow me. Ooh. Red line, Holy Land Marie Joys. Today's Marie Joys is a little different than usual. The originally peaceful atmosphere seemed to have become a lot more solemn, and CP members patrolling the streets could be seen everywhere. The entire holy place was filled with a solemn atmosphere. And in the heart of Marie Joys, strong men from all sea areas have already gathered here. Marine senior generals, CP's strong men, and even the 7 warlords of the sea, all gathered together in accordance with the world government's call. Fufufu. What on earth happened? Doflamingo, who looked like a flamingo, let out a strange laugh, glanced at the strong men present, and couldn't help but lick his lips. It was the first time for Doflamingo to see so many powerful people gathered together. It's even bigger than the previous summit war. What exactly is world government planning to do? Although his tone was relaxed, Doflamingo's eyes hidden under his sunglasses were particularly serious. As the king of the underground world, he has come all the way here, and his keen intuition and judgment are naturally unmatched by ordinary people. His instinct told him that something big was about to happen. Just listen to the mission later. Eagle Eyes Mahawk was as cold as ever. He glanced at Doflamingo, who was smiling strangely, and said, his eyes as sharp as a hawk. The same goes for most of the other big pirates. But if you observe carefully, it is not difficult to find that they all maintain a certain distance from each other. Obviously, among the 3 forces present, they have the largest gap between each other. This is also a matter of course. He is a pirate after all. And the big pirates who are qualified to stand here, more or less, have some unknown dark pasts. Everyone in the Marine and CP departments remained silent, obviously knowing something. At a certain moment, the eyes of Mahawk and Doflamingo suddenly condensed, and they looked in a certain direction at the same time. Doflamingo couldn't help but reveal a cruel smile on his face. Are you coming? Is everyone here? Under the gaze of everyone, 5 elders walked slowly from the entrance and looked at everyone present calmly. They are the supreme rulers of the world government. Almost standing at the top of this world, everyone present could not help but hold their breath. Even though the 5 elders did not exude any momentum, just standing there was enough to make everyone feel the pressure. As said before, authority is also a powerful force. Even someone as unruly as Doflamingo made no sound in this scene, and just looked at the 5 old people in front of him with solemn eyes like everyone else. 5 elders was non-committal about this. It goes without saying that I need to say more. You are all the protectors of the world order. However, we are now facing perhaps the biggest crisis in history. 5 elders, who was on crutches, spoke slowly. As he spoke, he raised his chin slightly. The attendants who had been prepared quickly distributed the documents to everyone present. A powerful enemy. There was a trace of ridicule on Doflamingo's face, and he casually reached out to take the document sent by the attendant. However, after just one glance, the expression on his face suddenly froze. The rest of the people had similar reactions. This fishman. Over at Marine, Akainu couldn't help but frown and look at Fisher Tiger's portrait. He always felt that the red fishman looked familiar. Fisher Tiger. He's still alive. After a while, Akainu finally remembered where he had seen him before, and the expression on his face instantly became ferocious. He's not dead yet. Akainu upholds Marine's justice, while Fisher Tiger is known as the hero who saved the slaves. Naturally, he has been on the opposite side of the entire world government from the beginning. With Akainu's character, he would naturally not let him go no matter what. And compared to this fishman, why is it him again? Even Mihawk, the expression on his face rarely became serious. He didn't really care about Fisher Tiger. Whether he is a hero or not has nothing to do with him. But Lin Yan left a deep impression on Mihawk. He single-handedly reversed the entire Summit War and led the Whitebeard pirates back to their peak. Now it seems that they have a close relationship with Kuja Island. How many secrets does this man have? Hey, is this a joke? Doflamingo suddenly laughed exaggeratedly and raised the document in his hand to the 5 elders. We have already failed once, don't you want to do it again? Doflamingo had a hint of sarcasm on his face. Because of his past, Doflamingo has always had a hatred for world government. Even evil people come in many varieties, some for wealth, some for rights, some for women. Doflamingo is a completely different type. It has nothing to do with interests and nothing to do with responsibilities. He just wants to watch the world burn and rule from its ashes. The 5 elders looked at Doflamingo, who was smiling wantonly indifferently. If it were anyone else who said this now, he would be dead, but Doflamingo was the only exception. After just one glance, the 5 elders ignored the flamingo. The 5 elders stood up with first-generation kitetsu on their waists. Everyone should understand the situation, so from now on, the world government issues a recruitment order. Everyone present is a participant. As he spoke, 5 elders' tone paused slightly. Start gathering all the power in your hands from now on. When the preparations are completed, the world government will issue a buster call to Kuja Island. Buster call like never before. Hearing this declaration, everyone had different reactions. Akainu was gearing up, with an excited smile full of resentment and ferociousness on his face, which was in sharp contrast to the worried faces of the Marines behind him. The strong men in the CP department have expressionless faces. They are the eagle dogs trained by the world government since childhood. Even if it is a fatal order, they will execute it without hesitation. Doflamingo was still laughing wantonly, but his eyes were full of solemnity. Mihawk has unconsciously placed his hand on the hilt of his sword, his falcon-like eyes slowly burning with fighting intent. As for the rest of the big pirates, they felt sad. After all, Lin Yan's previous glory in Summit War really left a deep psychological shadow on them. Facing that man who is like a god, is there really any chance of victory? For a moment, everyone had different expressions on their faces, but no matter what, only one thing was certain. Another storm is coming. Meanwhile on the other side, Calm Belt, 9 Snake Island. Roar. Ain has now transformed into an elegant dragon, roaring continuously around the waters of 9 Snake Island. Of course I'm not attacking anything, she was just following Lin Yan's instructions. As said before, in dragon form, Ain has the terrifying ability to control almost all elements. It is even far beyond the comparison of ordinary Logia ability users. What Ain is doing now is to block the entire sea area around 9 Snake Island, turning all the surrounding seawater into a shield for the entire 9 Snake Island. Even for Ain now, this is a big project. Not far away, Hancock stood on the bow of his pirate ship, issuing orders elegantly and proudly. Move quickly. This is the task my dear has given me. Clean up all the sea kings in this area within a week. Capture those who can be captured alive and kill those who cannot. Also, don't let go of the beasts on the island. Yes. Your Majesty the Empress. There was a lively scene on 9 Snake Island. Even Fisher Tiger was not idle. He organized his murlocs, allocating some of them to carry out logistical work, while training others with a stern look. The entire 9 Snakes Island seems to have entered a state of high preparation for war. While being busy and dizzy, whenever they have free time, the 3 people's eyes will unconsciously move in the same direction. That's where Lin Yan is located. Whenever they move their eyes in that direction, Hancock and Ain's pretty faces will unconsciously show happy smiles. They will never let their future husbands down. Tiger also sighed and looked in the same direction, especially when he glanced at the two girls from time to time. He couldn't help but give a thumbs up in his heart. Brother Lin. Someone who has the ability. A month passed quietly like this. At the same moment when Nine Snake Island was in full swing preparing for war, Lin Yan, who had been sitting in the room for a whole month, opened his eyes again. This is the end of a month of fishing. At the same moment, the system's sound also rang. Congratulations, host, the fishing is completed. You currently have 30 exquisite blind boxes. Do you want to open them? Next, it's time for the happy lottery draw. Almost without hesitation, Lin Yan waved his hand. Open them all. The system reacts quickly. Ding. The exquisite blind box is being opened. Ding. Congratulations to host for opening 30 exquisite blind boxes. We are currently receiving rewards for host statistics. Statistics completed. Congratulations to host, you have gained 20 months of training experience. Congratulations to host, you have gained 20 months of devil fruit training experience. Congratulations to host, you have gained 20 months of armament hockey training experience. Congratulations to host, for gaining 20 months of observation hockey training experience. Congratulations to host, you have received a special prop, Bloodline Promotion Card X1. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the Noble Phantasm, Holy Sword Excalibur. Congratulations to host, you got the prop, Time Train. Good guy. Lin Yan's eyes widened instantly. There are 3 special rewards. As we all know, people's luck cannot continue to be bad. This time, didn't my luck explode? Lin Yan happily began to look at the prop instructions. The first is the Bloodline Promotion Card, as the name suggests. As long as you use this thing, you can upgrade the bloodline ability you currently have, and you just have it. Obito version of Sharingan. And to be fair, Sharingan has been upgraded to the pinnacle. Isn't that Rinnegan? Feel the pain. How many floors does a bag of rice have to carry? And the full Susanoo. I have to say it's quite useful. After that comes the Noble Phantasm Holy Sword Excalibur. It comes from the Noble Phantasm held by King Arthur in the Fate World. It can destroy a city with a full blow. After freeing the true name, it becomes the Noble Phantasm for the city. Magic mushrooms belong to it. Of course, this kind of destructive power doesn't matter to Lin Yan. It's not like he broke out with all his strength. More importantly, the Holy Sword Excalibur itself is a top-notch holy sword. He happened to lack a top-notch weapon, and the Holy Sword Excalibur came just in time. And then finally there's Train of Time. From Kamen Rider Den-O, it is a prop that can take people through time and space, whether it is the past or the future. It can be said to be an enhanced version of the Doraemon time capsule that was drawn before. No matter how you look at it, it is a very powerful item. If I have to say that its value is comparable to the Holy Grail of the Netherworld in my hand now. Although it is not usually used, but be prepared. Not sure when it will be available. Of course. As we all know, great power often comes with a price. Although the Train of Time is useful and powerful in various senses, it is not without its flaws. Want money? That's right, just like the Holy Grail of the Netherworld, it's also a money-making prop. And it seems to be more edible. Lin Yan couldn't help but curl his lips. But it's understandable. After all, it's a time-traveling prop, so it's completely understandable that it comes with a price. Reasonable. Looking at the 3 props that had been placed in his warehouse, Lin Yan exhaled with satisfaction. This wave of blood profit. So without further ado, let's try it out first. Thinking about it, Lin Yan took out the Bloodline Promotion Card from the warehouse without hesitation. It was a glittering card. I can't tell what material it is made of, but I can feel a very special power from it. Use and promote Obito version Sharingan. Buzz. As Lin Yan finished speaking, the card turned into a stream of light, and then penetrated into Lin Yan's body at lightning speed. At the same time, Lin Yan only felt that his Sharingan appeared uncontrollably, and soon, the lines in his eyes began to slowly change. A powerful force began to spread from Lin Yan's body. Finally, when Lin Yan's eyes completely turned into Rinnegan's unique patterns, the fluctuations in power slowly calmed down. Good guy. Is this more than 1 level better than before? Lin Yan couldn't help but lick his lips. Now I can use more abilities. For example, the full version of Susanoo. Another example. Shinra Tenjong and Planetary Devastation. This all represents the destructive power of ultimate. After feeling his current power, Lin Yan nodded with satisfaction, and immediately took out the holy sword Excalibur from the system. I have to say, just looking at the appearance, there is no doubt that it is a top-notch treasure. Slender and elegant sword blade. This holy sword Excalibur is not a weapon made by humans, but a weapon made by gods, a holy sword condensed in fantasy. Among the legends, anyone who can hold it is a born king. Not to mention that the holy sword Excalibur also has powerful special abilities. It's not just the torrent of light that can be released after liberating the true name. This holy sword itself also has the power to control the wind. Buzz. Following Lin Yan's thoughts, the gentle wind began to wrap around the sword of the holy sword Excalibur, and then the entire holy sword slowly disappeared in the wind entwining it. The invisible sword. And if necessary, these winds can be released in one breath to unleash powerful power on the enemy. Its name is Wind King Iron Hammer. No matter how you look at it, it is an extremely satisfying weapon. If the swordsman in this world saw it, your mouth is watering. Lin Yan smiled with satisfaction. As for the last train of time, it won't be used now anyway, so Lin Yan doesn't plan to use it for experiments. At this point, the rewards for this time have been counted. With a very pleasant smile on his face, Lin Yan stretched lazily, then walked out of the room with the holy sword in hand. Brother Lin, you have finally come out. Outside the door, when he saw Lin Yan walking out of the room after a month, Fisher Tiger immediately showed a hearty smile and stretched out his hand to say hello. The two girls on the other side also showed happy smiles. Obviously you have been waiting for a long time. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Lin Yan smiled at the three of them. My preparations here are almost completed, what do you say? Lin Yan looked at the three of them and smiled. Fisher Tiger was immediately heartbroken. Brother Lin, how could I be careless about what you told me? Fisher Tiger said with a laugh. During Lin Yan's period of retreat, the entire Nine Snakes Island was completely mobilized. If we say that the former Nine Snake Island was a quiet and peaceful island in the Calm Belt. So the current Nine Snake Island is a huge war fortress. All the people are soldiers, this is no joke. Almost everyone on Nine Snake Island is a warrior. When they work together under Hancock's call, the power they can unleash is extremely amazing. Yeah, we've done it all. Ain on the other side also smiled. According to your instructions, Lin, I have sealed off all the surrounding sea. I will definitely be able to give the enemy a big surprise by then, right? Ain said this with some pride. After getting instructions from Lin Yan, she worked almost non-stop until she finally controlled all the sea areas around Nine Snake Island. Only Ain himself knows how much power was consumed during this period. Even with the strength and endurance of the current dragon species, Ain was so tired that he almost fainted several times. But the results are also quite gratifying. After this period of hard work, the sea around Nine Snake Island is now calm, but as long as Ain is willing. This seawater can turn into a huge shield to protect the entire Nine Snake Island at any time. And it can also launch attacks. Thinking of the feats he had accomplished during this period, Ain couldn't help but feel a little proud. At this moment, when he explained to Lin Yan, he felt like he was asking for credit. All in all, it's very cute. Thank you for your hard work. After listening to Ain's explanation, Lin Yan also smiled and touched the girl's head. Ain didn't mean to dodge. Instead, a smile of enjoyment appeared on her pretty face and she took the initiative to rub Lin Yan's hand. It seems to be quite useful. Cough cough cough. Hancock on the other side couldn't stand it any longer, and immediately interrupted the two of them with a dry cough, and then glared at Ain. Although we have decided to coexist peacefully. But seeing the two of them getting intimate, Hancock still couldn't help but interrupt. Seeing this, Ain showed a regretful smile. Then the rest of the time was handed over to Hancock. After all, she was working hard during this period, but Hancock in front of her was not idle either. It would be better to say that she, who was mediating and commanding the entire Nine Snakes Island, was working harder than herself. Ain also sees these things. Lin Yan's eyes softened when he looked at Hancock. Hancock, where are you? After all, it is the task you gave me, of course I will complete it all. Seeing Lin Yan's soft gaze towards him, Hancock felt his heart melt, and any little dissatisfaction he had before disappeared in an instant. Immediately, the girl showed a proud smile on her pretty face. Anyway, come with me. After saying that, he happily prepared to lead everyone there. Brother Lin, she has been working very hard these days. Even Fisher Tiger on the other side couldn't help but patted Lin Yan on the shoulder and smiled. They all see Hancock's efforts during this period. I wouldn't say sleepless nights, but it's close to it. The importance I attach to Lin Yan in my heart is naturally self-evident. I know. In response, Lin Yan also smiled and nodded, and immediately followed Hancock's footsteps with a smile. Not long after, everyone came to an open space. How can I put it? Thank you for your hard work, Hancock. Even Lin Yan couldn't help but feel a little dumbfounded when he saw the exaggerated scene in front of him. I saw that this place had turned into a huge cage. Those that run on the ground, those that swim in the sea, and those that fly in the sky. All kinds of beasts and sea kings are kept here. A rough estimate is that there are thousands of them. It's hard to imagine what Hancock was doing during this time. As long as I can help you, I don't mind at all. Seeing Lin Yan's dumb expression, Hancock immediately had a proud smile on his pretty face. As long as it's what you told me, I will finish it at all costs. Hancock thought to himself, looking at Lin Yan with eyes full of affection. But soon, the girl became a little confused. After hesitating for a long time, he finally couldn't help but ask. Well, dear, although I did my best according to your instructions, what are these beasts used for? Hancock asked a little strangely. After all, in the final analysis, these are just simple beasts. Unorganized and undisciplined. Even raising them in captivity here is strenuous enough, let alone training them to protect Nine Snakes Island. The time cost and material cost are astonishingly high. It can even be said to be completely impossible. And what if it's trained? These ordinary beasts, plus the Sea Kings who have some fighting ability, are okay against ordinary Marines, but completely inadequate against strong ones. Hancock's doubts are natural. In response, Lin Yan just showed a mysterious smile. So then, it's my job. As he spoke, Lin Yan showed a hearty smile, and then decisively took out the Holy Grail of the Netherworld. The Holy Grail comes in a set of 3, it instantly attracted everyone's attention. Ain even narrowed his eyes thoughtfully. Ain couldn't help but think of the time when Lin Yan gave him power. And that's exactly what happened. Buzz. As the strange light spread on the Holy Grail, Lin Yan also showed a satisfied smile on his face. Really? Compared with giving power to the strong, changing the life order of these beasts is much less expensive. After all, their strength is already very weak. There is no comparison with talented beings like Hancock and Ain. And more importantly, no need to think about anything at all. No matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how long you live. It's just a one-time prop after all. This is. So under the shocked eyes of Hancock and others, all the beasts shrouded in the light of the Holy Grail began to transform one after another. Not only did their forms become more ferocious, but the aura on their bodies also began to increase. Using the power of the Holy Grail, Lin Yan truly turned them into ferocious beasts. Of course, this is not the most shocking thing. As the power of the Holy Grail slowly dissipated, these previously undisciplined beasts actually knelt down in front of Lin Yan. Absolute obedience. What he saw before his eyes was a powerful and absolutely loyal army of Warcraft, numbering in the thousands. Hancock couldn't help but cover his mouth. His eyes were so shocked that he couldn't even speak. Is it possible? However, everything really happened before our eyes. Dear. This.